Utah. This is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, Caleb.
God, you're bringing back the pause? What's the matter with you?
Riff to go. It's to pause for effect.
Okay, whatever.
So today we will be continuing our epic review of Final Fantasy XII.
The very epic game, yes.
Last time we talked about gameplay.
No, we didn't.
Or not gameplay, we talked about story.
We talked about story and the development of the game.
True, normally we talk about story, gameplay, and development, but this time, the friggin' story took forever. Because we were recalling stuff, and I don't know.
It's long.
It is a long story. There's a fair amount of it for what crap we give it. And yeah, so let's move on to the gameplay. Now, of course, there's a few things we gotta get to first. God, okay, so find us. Ways to find the show. If you're listening, obviously you already know, but find us on YouTube.
Other ways to find the show.
True, YouTube.
And supplemental material.
Indeed. I've got walkthroughs on 12. All of my gameplay footage, except for the mindless grinding that I did late, is up on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can find us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, Facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, and Patreon. If you guys give us $1 a month, we'll give you the episodes early, whenever that happens to be.
As soon as we're done mixing them.
True. And of course, we are live streaming on Twitch as we speak. About 8 seconds behind on Twitch, but whatever. And yeah, you can find us there, twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy, and all of this information and more can be found on our website, ultimafinalfantasy.com. And of course, join the forums. It's a great place.
Please join the forums. That's where we answer questions when we do that.
True, yes. When we decide to go through.
It is a review episode today, so we're not going over any news. Even though there's been plenty of Final Fantasy news recently, we're not going over it. You gotta wait till next time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then no iTunes reviews either.
Correct.
But if you want to leave an iTunes review, we will definitely read that next week.
Yeah, we would greatly appreciate it. It helps us out.
Yes. All right, Caleb. It's time. Let's talk about gameplay.
Alrighty.
Is everybody still here on Twitch?
I don't know if everybody's still here.
2 comments.
Yeah. Oh, let's see.
Say?
That was 4 minutes ago. All right.
All right. Let's get to the gameplay. All right, Caleb. So there is a large difference between Final Fantasy XII and Final Fantasy XI and the other games in the series previously. Okay. There are no random battles, of course. Now, people might have, I don't know what it was like back then, but maybe people thought that random battles were over for Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Square was kind of going for also.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's kind of a thing of the past. We have the technology now to render. Yeah, we can rebuild them. We have that ability to, show enemies in the field, and it just adds to the realistic feel of it. So I feel like they were definitely trying to move away from that, and part of me doesn't really want to let it go, but then part of me also doesn't give a flying fuck. So I don't know, it kind of depends. I enjoy the old games, though, don't get me wrong. But I think it's really cool how they did it with 12. I mean, seeing the enemies in the field, being able to run away from them, sort of, and it's very different.
At least you can run away from them. It was being developed at the same time as Final Fantasy XI.
You can definitely see it.
And it was using the same game engine. And they both kind of had the same thing in mind, where they were doing like an MMO type experience. Final Fantasy XII, had the luxury of being released 3 years later than Final Fantasy XI.
Right.
And so, of course, it took what Final Fantasy XI did, and it improved it greatly. So, yeah, FF11 and FF12, you see the enemies in the field, and you attack them in the field. It's not a random battle, and it's not like Final Fantasy 13 where you see them in the field, and then you touch them, and then it becomes like a random battle.
Right.
It's so with 11 it's kind of unique in that way. And so I thought it adds upon what FF11 did as far as our experience with the Final Fantasy games from then on.
Right.
Definitely. Do you Caleb, Craig, you haven't been talking much. Do you have a preference as far as Final Fantasy battle systems go?
You're just talking about like
turn-based
random
battles versus seeing them in the field,
well,
or random battles versus seeing them in the field.
I enjoy random battles. You can kind of time where you're gonna get random battles if you know how it works. But they also can be super ass annoying when you're trying to get to where you're going.
So or do anything.
So there was a benefit to certain items that make it so you don't encounter anything, like in Final Fantasy VIII, and I believe there was a materia in 7 that allowed you to do that as well.
Right, there is.
But I gotta say, I really loved the seeing everything just there in 12, and it made it for an interesting battle where you could fight like 12 things at once.
Well, why didn't you play 11 with us if that's what you love?
I don't know.
Your computer was down, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It wasn't working.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys like that style? I mean, I know we acknowledge the fact that it's building on 11, and it's, to me, it's quite a ways ahead of 11.
It's a much smoother battle system than 11, and the creature animation and everything is just, it's more refined.
Yeah, I'd say more so than 10.
But it's very much like 11.
Right.
Yeah. It's like 11 with the trust system.
Yeah.
I'd say.
And with less walking, surprisingly.
Unfortunately, in 11, you can't use your character like a trust. But you can in 12.
It's true, yeah.
With the gambit system, of course.
True, and that is a big part of gameplay. I mean, how do you feel about the gambit system?
Do you think there might be people out there who don't know what the gambit system is?
There might be. There's some people. Okay, so in Final Fantasy XII, you can basically set up macros or gambits that, under certain circumstances, your characters will do certain actions. This is useful for casting spells like Protect, Shell, Reflect, Haste.
Healing yourself, attacking enemies.
Right, attacking enemies with certain spells based on their weaknesses. Basically, there's a gambit for everything in this game. So the game can play itself, which, makes it seem like it would be a super easy game, but at the same time, you gotta there's a certain strategy to the gambit that makes it almost a difficult thing within itself to master or look up a guide.
Well, it's so micromanagey, I'd say. You got to go through each character and set up the gambit exactly. Well, you can do it this way, and I did exactly the way you want things to happen in exactly the right order throughout battle, and it does add another element of strategy to the battle system. Mm-hmm. But it is very time consuming to set them up.
Right, afterwards it's easy.
Yeah, the other way would be much more time consuming and much more micromanaging.
Yeah, I feel like with the battle system of the game, they had to add the gambit system. That's the only way it would function. Can you imagine playing this thing with going through the spells? It's
not that they had to add a gambit system. I think they could have done something like a trust system or like Final Fantasy 13 system where it's based upon everybody's role and it switches. But of course, that's a unique thing to Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they needed what they put in. I don't think it would have worked. Yeah, 13 is different enough that I don't think a gambit system would have worked in 13.
A lot of people say that a lot of people I have read throughout our forum have stated that the game plays itself once you set up the gambit systems.
Right, and it totally can.
And so that's seen by many as a negative thing. I know I set up the gambits to basically play itself. I mean, I wanted my gambits to be as streamlined as possible.
Right.
And I didn't want to have my lead character pause ever. I wanted them to be the attacking character, and I had my two supporting roles doing exactly what they needed to do. Mm-hmm. And every time their MP was low, they'd use charge on their own. I wouldn't have to do that for them. I didn't even select attacks like you did. I know you had your gambit set up so that you would select the attack.
Right.
Because you told me, I play the game or whatever.
Well, no, there was another reason behind it. I don't want them to just attack the nearest guy. I want to strategize my
I didn't
attacks.
have my attack the nearest guy. I had it strategized so that the party leader would attack the enemy with the lowest HP in the vicinity. And then the other two would attack the same guy, and if the party leader was like out or something, their secondary attacking target would be the nearest enemy. So that someone was attacking someone at all times, so that I clear areas really quickly. And of course, I micromanaged this to the point when fighting XII, which we'll talk about in a bit, that it was set up very streamlined the way I wanted to do. In fact, watching you play was infuriating for me because your lead character would like stop and do some shit, and then of course the game would pause so that you do some kind of selecting action, and I had my game where it was basically playing itself, and so that could definitely be seen as a negative thing, but at the same time it did kind of save my ass a lot, especially on those harder fights.
True, but in the beginning I think it screwed you over. I think that's why you were doing so poorly. I think that was part of it, because you weren't doing anything.
Set up my gambits wrong. I didn't have enough gambits at the beginning either. I didn't buy gambits. That was
and they were set up kind of poorly, and that's I think why I did so well in the beginning. Now at the XII fight, I did it a different way, and it was different.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, but it depends. I mean, it can play itself.
Do you like the gambit system?
I think it's okay. I mean, it takes care of a lot of stuff that I don't really... kind of goes on in the background with certain spells. The game does kind of play itself if you set it up that way, but I don't know. I think it adds a strategy element to it.
Yeah, I think it's
cool.
Yeah, I think it's funner to just play like how I had it set up is that I would have the two other characters attack the same target as my party leader, and then have them heal when it was necessary and cast stat boosts, and then I would control pretty much everything that the main party leader would do. But I had him also have
that would bug the crap out of
Gambit set up, but I had him turned off so I could just do whatever.
Yeah, see,
I had everybody up on gambits.
Yeah,
I had everybody up on them gambits.
Yeah, I mean, so did I, but I had my main guy casting stuff to kind of even out the mana. So,
okay.
And that made it easier for some boss fights.
I did have issues with especially XII where the two supporting guys would run out of mana so quick.
Oh yeah, they do.
So that was the only problem with using the system completely automated like I did. I mean, after I got the gambits set up so that I could, exploit the game in the way I did, continuously leveling up on some zombies.
Right.
After I kind of had those set up, I kind of built on those previous gambits and was like, okay, this game is my bitch now.
I mean, when I got to Balfenheim, that's when I sat down for like 20 minutes and just made my gambits. I was like, all right, I'm going to have one person each in the party cast Protect, one person cast Shelga, one person cast Haste, Bravery, all of that stuff. And if I was in an area where I needed to use a lot of mana or magic attacks, I'd throw Faith on. So I spent a good amount of time setting them up. I mean, they weren't quite as automated as yours by the end, but they were more automated than I had them. Because for a lot of it, I had like flying creature, hit them with a spell, and that was like it. Everything else, I just attack, and they just attack with me. Because it was easy for me in the game for the most part, so I didn't have a hard time with it. But I don't know, how much time did you spend setting those up, Caleb? Was it like a quick thing, or how heavily did you rely on them? Because Joe and I... a fair amount of relying on them. We set them up differently, but we used them for sure.
I didn't really rely on them for anything more than healing, pretty much. I had them set up so that they would attack the main party, like the party leader's target, and then set them up for extreme healing for when they needed it, like a
Extreme healing.
Well, like if they got like below 50%, then I'd do like a Curaja and just heal everybody, and then same with if they got like really low, and then I had Gambit set up for if somebody died, then they'd automatically cast a Rise.
Right.
And then I would automatically, I would like, instead of just having them automatically cast like Bubble or something else like that, then I would just go into their thing and then manually do it myself. Because I actually wanted to play the game.
See, it's like you guys like couldn't stand the fact that the game plays itself. So instead of playing the game how it obviously wants to be played, it wants you to automate everything. It totally does. It asks for it. Here, this is a shop full of every single Gambit imaginable. Use them, right? They're cheap.
I used them.
I think it's set up to play the way that you want to play it, so that you can choose to either do everything yourself,
It would
or
bug
you
the
can,
shit out of me if
or
the
you
game
can play it
paused
like
every
me,
second.
where you had it halfway set up, or it could be like where you just went full on ham with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think you're lazy at heart.
It's a lot better for Cam. You know what?
I agree with you, though. The game wants to be played that way.
The game does want to be played that way, and I obliged. The game was like, please do this for me. This makes me feel good. And I go, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
it
do
said that
for
too
you.
in the beginning when it was porking you. It's like, please, just take it here. I don't know. And a lot of my frustration watching you play was the fact that you didn't attack. You let your Gambits take over the game to the point where you'd have a critical enemy, but then the Gambit would take over to heal. And I'm like, dude, just kill the fucking enemy, and then you don't have to worry about the heal. So there were frustrating things that I noticed also.
Well, there were... my Gambit system by the end was very streamlined.
Well, by the end, you were level 90-something, so no standard enemy was going to stand in your way.
That's true. Well, they were all standing in my way. And that's another thing I want to get to, by the way. So Final Fantasy XI had this very interesting system where you would walk into a place, and if you were of a certain level... the enemies would go after you, and sometimes they would mob.
Right, and there's not always aggro.
Right, but yeah, when you get to a certain level past where the enemy is comfortable fighting you, the enemy would leave you alone. But in Final Fantasy XII, no matter what, if you're in the Western Sand, you could be level 99. You have to spend a good 3/4 of your time allotted to just mow things over while you're trying to get to another place.
You don't have to. You could just hold R2 and run away.
You could hold R2 and run away, but I'd rather just have them leave me alone. I was missing Final Fantasy XI at that point. I was in the Western Sand, and I'm like, these wolves are just getting in. I just need to get past here. I'm at such a high level. This is a waste of my time, experience-wise, and level points-wise, because I had already maxed out all the license points. It's just such a waste. I wanted the aggro system back from Final Fantasy XI.
It wasn't meant to be a waste because you weren't meant to be that high of a level at that point.
Well, I mean,
no. I'm talking about later going back to do like hunts.
No, even then, I didn't have max LP. I was still killing it.
Well, that's
max LP is like a really hard thing to achieve, Joe. It's like 13,000 points.
When you put 90 hours into Neglamore, it doesn't seem that difficult. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, that I agree with you there. I'll agree with that. The aggro system is nice, but one thing that I hate about 11 that I'm glad 12 didn't do is
you can't run away.
Well, you can't run away for one, and two, you still get experience. You get XP.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
that was the thing that 11 took away from you, is that if you decided to attack those enemies that were not within your, safe level range,
sometimes even ones that would still aggro to you get 0 XP.
Yep.
That's fucking dumb.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is a problem with 11.
But yeah, I wish the aggro would drop off, because then I wouldn't have to hold down R2. In which case, I'm lazy. But yeah, the LP, I still killed them for the most part, and at the end, though, when I had my bestiary hunting, I just turned off the gambits and just walked. Mm-hmm. If you turn off the gambits, you don't even get stopped.
That's true, but there will be that point where I just hate it when my main character just stops walking. That's the thing. And he'll stop for a second to pull out the sword just because there's an enemy near, and I'm like, just stop, just go.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. The aggro removal would have been nice for
Yeah.
those guys, but
Yeah.
it's too late now.
Would have been nice. And the FF11 team was doing it.
Yeah. Well, the FF11 team is doing a lot of stuff. So one other thing. I mean, with gameplay, of course, we have to talk about the characters. I mean, they started out with classes, right? So you've got your archer, you've got your guy with the gun, your sword guys.
Yeah.
When did you move away from that?
Automatically.
Yeah.
And now this was a part of why the first half of the game was extremely difficult for me. I decided that, if I was gonna play the game correctly, everybody needed their healing spells, and so all that money that I got during the early levels of the game, and money is kind of hard to come across in Final Fantasy 12, not as hard as FF11, but
Well, no.
I mean, compared to any other Final Fantasy game, I'd say Final Fantasy 12 is pretty unforgiving when it comes to trying to raise funds.
Yeah, it is.
I would use that money to go towards white spells,
Okay.
healing spells, and that really fucked me over. So I don't know how you guys moved away on the license board. Did you have a plan set out for what
Yeah.
you were gonna do?
I looked at the
I did.
license board and I was like, oh, I'm going to get all the HP ones and I'm going to have a gambit or a quickening for each character at this point of the game, and I did. So that Garuda guy, the guy that you had to go buy a bunch of bows for like a chump, I just killed that guy with quickenings.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's actually a side mission that gets you an item that kills that thing almost instantly.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that, but it's cool. I did that the first time I played it. I did the side mission. I was like, oh, you give it berries and it like hates
I
it.
remember the first time I played it, I went and got bows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that
so
what you did this
I
time
did the
too?
same thing. Yeah, both times.
Yeah, I
I just assumed that's what I had to do because the best thing in that item shop is a bow. So
yeah.
maybe it's telling you to go save up for a bow.
I kept them pure for a long time, and it was actually pretty awesome. Like I got some guns that were doing more damage than the best sword that I had.
So whatever weapon they started with, you went on that weapon track.
Right, yeah, and it was fun. It was a good experience. Last time I played it, when I got to Judge Geese and died so horrendously on that airship, I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm gonna go buy the Zwill Blade or whatever, the best sword, and just give it to every fucking person in the party. And that's what I did. And then from then on, I was like, well, I'm done. I'm just gonna use the sword because it's really good. But you've got nice elemental advantages to using like the bow and the gun because you can hit them with the spell as well as the main attack based on certain guns or certain ammunition and stuff you get. So I kept it pure for most of the game. When I started doing the hunts, I think that was when I started trading because I got the Zodiac Spear and I was like, oh well,
Yeah.
I'm not using that gun for Balthier anymore. He's gonna hold the spear and do 6,000 damage instead of 1,000. So, what about you, Caleb? Did you play it purely, or did you jump on the everyone's the same?
I fucking abandoned the starting weapons almost immediately. I had everybody go into swords because of the Zwill Blade tactic of taking out Geese, because that's how I beat him the first time that I played through that part. And then I kind of stuck with that, and then I didn't have nearly the problems that Joe did with the money, because what I did, as I do in most RPGs and Final Fantasy games, is I buy the one character I like the most, or one character I use the most, the best weapon at the time, and then give the secondary members the second best weapons that I have.
Yeah.
Which allows you to save money, and
So you're kind of going down the road and then you sell the last one.
Yeah, it's like a hand-me-down system. I did a similar thing.
I did too, because you mentioned that when I was in the Gilmore fucking forest.
Yeah, it really saves time and money. And then by the time that I rushed for the Zodiac Spear, I got that thing at like level 35 or 40, and I didn't have to spend any more money on getting my main weapons for Vaughn anymore at that point, because I had just did some serious LP grinding to get that Zodiac Spear for him, and then he was doing so much damage that it didn't even like bother me.
Yeah.
That I had done that.
Did you ever equip the Z Spear on Balthier?
No.
He holds it freaking awesomely, dude. He just has it like under his arm, and he just like backhands with it. He's just like, it's so casual. Yeah, it's friggin' pro. I'm like, geez. It's just like, yeah, best sword or best weapon in the game.
Well, I'm glad you guys got that.
Yeah, Joe was like, F it, and got the first chest that blocks you.
Oh, dude, the damage.
Look, man, I was at old Dallin's place, and I was like, I'll check on whichever thing it is later. And then I just went and opened it.
So you were pissed off later because you knew you
know, I wasn't super pissed off because I told myself the extra stuff that I knew I would do in this game is I would do every hunt. You know, just for our podcast listeners out there, they know I like to rush to the end. And I did that this time too. I like to rush to the end and not do too much extra stuff. And I've said I'll do some extra stuff, and so I did I'd say a lot of extra stuff. I did all the hunts. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I never thought that I wasn't hell bent on getting the Z Spear. Otherwise, I would have restarted the game because it was like 2 hours in.
I knew what I wanted, so I went for it.
I was gunning for that like the second I started that game.
It saved a lot of time. My Order of Ambrosia save file being 133 hours is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So impressive.
Like, it's not bad. My old one's 195, and I don't even have it. Like, I don't know what I was doing. I mean, I know I was doing the fishing mini game, but not doing that this time. It's so weird. Like, without the guide, you wouldn't even know that thing existed. Like, there's such steps you have to take, and oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was kind of a weak point for the game myself because every character for a lot of the Final Fantasies have like a certain range of skills that they have. And now this one, it's true in here too. Certain weapons lend themselves more to your character's speed, strength, yada yada.
Right.
But in this one, you basically are given a ball of clay for a character, and you kind of mold them as you wish, which kind of lame, kind of awesome at the same time. It does add a lot of customization. You can play it like I tried to play it. You can play it like you guys did. It's fun either way. There's advantages and disadvantages for sure. Certain characters lend themselves to certain attacking styles, but that's kind of cool. One thing I like that they went back to is the full armor set. I thought that was really dumb in 10 when it just had like your sword and your little armband. I didn't think that was quite as cool.
Yeah, I like it when you have more customization options for armor pieces.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have it simplified like in 10, but at the same time, I enjoy the the amount of statuses and the amount of nullifications you can equip with 12's thing. I thought that was kind of cool.
So you liked you missed the character jobs, but you liked the customization.
Yeah, anyway. So it's kind of like a love-hate with the ball of clay character molds. Okay, now
let me ask you guys. We talked about how much it took to level up in this game. It's a very, very long game, and it's a lot of grinding. And I saw a comment on the Twitch stream here that was complaining about the grinding of the game. Did you guys feel that it was a grind?
I feel like a little grind went a long ways when I was going through the story.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, just a tiny little brush, like a sensual. Anyway, so like when I get to an area, I like to try to get to where they weren't red on the when you look at the character or the enemy, and that means they're over like 3 levels above or something like that. I like to get them around to white or blue, whichever one was the not as awesome for killing them. Mm-hmm. So I would level grind a little bit each area, and that would go quite a bit of ways. And because of that, I think that's why my time was really good in the beginning. The beginning part of the game is because I was just putting in that extra little bit of time to level up.
Mm-hmm. You gave me some shit about how I wasn't playing the game right because I was just going from place to place, and I was like, if it was any other Final Fantasy, I would go from place to place and I would level up at least almost enough to be just fine, unless you're going to the moon in Final Fantasy IV, of course. Now, in Final Fantasy XII, you were saying, you had to... You were kind of going and clearing the whole area first, and you thought that was the correct way of doing it. And obviously, up to the 38-hour mark, that was the correct way of doing it because I was having some serious difficulty with the game, and so that's something I don't really care about. I don't like how FF12 is pushing you to do to go out of your way. You can't just enjoy the game as a game. You really have to delve into the game, and it's asking you, in fact, it's begging you, in fact, it's almost forcing you to delve into the game.
Yeah.
As opposed to playing something like Final Fantasy X, where you can, or really any other Final Fantasy except for 11, where you can just go in and go from place to place, and you should be okay. You might have to grind a little bit for a boss or something like that, but for the most part, the game stays even. Final Fantasy XII is a really long grind from place to place.
I don't know. Even with that, I didn't find much difficulty. Even with just, like, you got to certain parts of the game higher level than me. Like, when you got Fran and Balthier, you were like 4 levels ahead.
Right.
And that was just fine.
It's a
so
fluke.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like a game that plays itself, but it's still really hard for the first bit. And I don't know. One thing, it is kind of a pain in the ass, but I kind of like it though.
Maybe it's because it is really hard that they decided to push the
gambits,
the difficulty level so high.
Maybe. I don't know. I never really thought it was that hard.
That's because you were doing extra stuff, Caleb.
I was doing a few extra things.
A few? You were like 10 levels ahead when you got on the fucking ship.
Well, no. When I got on the ship, that's where I did my grinding.
Oh.
Yeah. But no, I think that the main problem that you had was that you were using all of your money and all of your LP that you were getting for buying white magic spells instead of getting the
augments.
The augment boost for like the HPs, the gambits, and then like getting better weapons.
I recognize that, but another problem I have with the system is that it relies so heavily on items for your strength, for your stat boost, as opposed to leveling up, which, by the way, if you stay with your old equipment, does hardly anything. There's hardly any stat boost when you level up. So what the fuck is the point of leveling up? You might as well just grind for license points.
I don't know.
Well, that's kind of what it wants you to do.
Because I bet you I could have killed fucking, as long as I had the same equipment and the same spells and shit. I bet you I could have killed what's his fuck?
What's his fuck?
Yzamat. I bet you I could have killed him at level 75.
Yeah.
The same, yeah.
With your base equipment?
No, not with the base equipment. At a much earlier level, I bet you it would have been just about as hard as beating him in the mid 90s.
Well, with the leveling up, it wants you. It's not really about the leveling up. It's about the getting of weapons. The weapons, it may seem like it's not a whole lot, but the 5 points that you get between each like area, at least like that's how much it was for like the swords. You get like a 5-point boost in the damage that it gives you. It may not seem like a lot in just that, but it was doing like easily like 100 and more like every time that you were getting.
That was the problem. Is that the stat boost was reliant upon the items, and I don't think it should be. I think levels should actually mean something, and they hardly mean a thing in that fucking game. It's about the license points.
It is about the license points, but then again, when you get up to where you have stronger weapons and you're always going back to Rabinaster and stuff, everything is like lower level, so you can take it out in like one hit. So then you get license points easier, and then there's items that you can accumulate more license points for, which is like the golden armlet, and then you get the embroidered tippet, which allows you to level up faster with the double XP. And I think items like that are where you get fairly early on in the story.
I don't know. I kind of want
to license point one.
I don't think there should have been both license points and experience points.
I like it because it gives you a double level up. Of course, I think
it doubles the length of gameplay.
I don't know, man. I think I spent less time in 12 than I did in 10, and I enjoyed the biggest chunk of the time more in 12. Not the story, but the grinding
itself. Yeah,
the grinding part in 10 was
grinding. You were grinding stat spheres in 10, so that's not really a fair way to judge it.
If they put the trophy in there, but anyway, no, I'm not going to say that. Imagine it as if you played 10, but you just didn't use the sphere grid. You just fucked up the sphere grid beyond recognition. And that's what you should compare it to. Because the license board is the same way, which I'm surprised because, you know, you are so into finding the best way, the easiest way almost, the most efficient way, or however the hell you want to word it, to go through a game. I'm surprised you didn't look up.
I didn't start using a guide for Final Fantasy 12 until late on.
Yeah,
and that
would've
is an
saved you.
unusual experience for me. I know from the listeners and from you. It's unusual for me not to use a guide very much, and I wasn't using a guide for Final Fantasy 12 until I got like really fucked over.
Yeah. And I mean, I knew because I've played the game a few times, so I'm not like bagging on you or anything. I'm just saying that I was surprised.
I played this once a few years ago.
I was surprised when you didn't have the plus 500 HP. I had that when I went into the Gallimore jungle.
I didn't look at the picture that said, "Hey, that thing's over there." I didn't do that.
Yeah, I totally knew where it was because of previous times when I did look, and I was like, all right, I'm going to utilize this. So I don't know. It's kind of cool. I don't hate it, but the levels could do more, and you don't really start noticing the gap until you go up about 5 or 6 levels, and then you can tell, okay, I'm more leveled up. This is easier, but it's usually, I don't know, up
Usually
to 3
in
levels.
a Final Fantasy, you can level up like twice, and then suddenly the area is easier. Like they've made it so that you should be at a certain place.
Yeah, I don't know. I think leveling up just a couple times in the area was enough for me for the most part. I mean, there were a few areas that Girovagan was kind of rough. I mean, if you don't have Lazaga, it's rough, but which I don't think you did because it was really expensive.
I did not have Lazaga.
It does like half of the Behemoth's life.
Because after I was done, after I was like, I'm not going after spells anymore. Then I was only going after equipment, so I didn't get the spells.
Yeah.
So my money, the amount of money I had in this game was just too low to deal with.
No, and I agree. That's a fault in the game. The gil, it's rough.
I don't know. There might have just been too many items. I don't fucking know. I don't know. There's just too many shops or something like that. I mean, it's trying to play as an MMO, as a single player MMO. Almost. Yeah. And because of that, I think it's just it's too much without a guide.
Right. There's a lot of stuff.
Either that or you're the type of player who is a perfectionist or is a completionist, I should say. And if that's the case, then 12 will be easy for you. But for me, trying to just appreciate the story and get to a certain point in the game where I can go back and then do some extra stuff, I just felt it was really annoying.
Yeah, I think one mistake we made...
And really time-consuming.
One mistake I think you and I both made was not doing the hunts while we were at them in the story. Because the hunts, to me, are a genius way to mask the grind.
Yeah.
Because if you go after those hunts, I mean, you're going to be killing stuff along the way, and then you get to the hunt, you fight it, you get a good chunk of XP or LP.
Yeah.
I think it might... Is it just LP? It is. It's just LP. But
for the bosses, yeah, they only give you LP.
But you get a lot of experience grinding those out. And I think if we would have done the hunts around the time when we unlocked them and around our same level, the grinding would have felt like less because we would have been actually going towards a goal.
I'll be honest, you call me lazy, but I call myself goal-oriented, and that goal is to beat the game. And so I'm just not doing that much extra stuff. And I had the goal of doing the hunts this game, but I wanted to put them out there.
Right.
I think the game should allow for just playing the fucking game. And if you want to do super bosses, you can do super bosses.
Right. Well, the hunts are super bosses.
You can do hunts. And I agree with you. And I think it was supposed to be set up this way that you were supposed to do hunts as you went along. But I didn't want to have to run back and forth using teleport stones and shit, going back to a clan hall to go grab more hunts. I didn't want to do that because that would just be more time added to the fucking game, which is already a fucking long game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's fair enough.
I don't know. I think that the hunts are a good thing, though. They the boss fights are always like the best part of like pretty much any game, and the hunts were essentially mini boss fights. And going along and doing those things, especially if you like turned them into the guild hall, gave you like a lot of bonuses, like gil and things like you need to keep going on. Which I think Caleb's right. They were meant to be as a side thing instead of not just going and doing them later type thing, because it really helps you out on going along and leveling up and then getting the gil and teleportation stones that you need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why the game throws the hunts out there to begin with, is to give you a chance, give you something to grab onto.
Add another little fun thing to do while you're in the middle of bullshit.
Yeah, while you're in the middle of grinding.
Like the Sand Sea.
So, speaking of the hunts, I don't know, there were a lot of them. I mean, there's 45 hunts in this game. What do you guys what are the ones that stand out to you? I know for me, the big ones I'd say are the Behemoth fights. There was Behemoth King, the guy we fought in the Feywood. You remember that guy? You had to clear out the 2 big areas and then go back in.
Oh, that was a pain in the ass.
He was a tough fight. And
you had to clear Guru Vagan, which you can hardly see in front of you in Guru Vagan.
well, that's the Feywood, but it's right in front of
excuse me,
Guru
the
Vagan,
Feywood.
so you're good.
You can hardly see anything.
Yeah.
And so
I missed
clearing it
guys,
out
too.
is extremely difficult. I had to keep going back and forth and being like, who the fuck did I miss? And then suddenly he popped up.
Yeah, he just comes out of the mist, so you probably didn't miss him. But yeah, that guy I thought was really cool.
Well, I know I didn't miss him at it.
Well, obviously at the end. I know, Caleb, you didn't get to too many of these hunts, so you'll be kind of left out of this part because Joe's PS2 crapped out on him, and Caleb let him borrow his partway through. But I don't know, that guy I thought was really cool. He was a lot of fun to fight. It was a long fight, but I thought it was pretty cool how he just switched off.
Was that one of the million fights?
Yeah, that guy was.
Yeah.
I think he was 1.6.
Mm-hmm.
He was 1.6, and then Fafnir, the guy you fight on Mount Baromasace, was 1.3. And even with your level 90 guys, you had to leave from him. He almost killed you. Because he's sick. But, I don't know, even with him, I was able to kill him, but I was like level 60.
Once I got my gambits all kind of taken care of, things started to be really easy, including the million hit point guys.
They just take a while.
I remember there's one the hunts that were really annoying to me were hunts that were timed, so like you had to go into the Giza Plains during the rains in order to get a specific hunt,
right?
And you also had to chop down these fucking trees all over the place, and then you had to find like the way to get across with the trees. You know what I'm talking about?
I thought that one was cool.
I thought it was annoying.
How's it annoying? It adds a different element to it.
I was there to kill.
Yeah,
I was not there to do extra bullshit. I was there to kill.
Yeah, the purpose of it is to make it stand out, though. And it stands out because of that. No, I didn't mind it.
It does stand out because of that, because I was infuriated, Caleb.
Yeah, because you just wanted to go through and just annihilate it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't easily. It was to get to Yiza, man.
Yeah, which is not easy. So that guy stood out. The giant chocobo guy was pretty awesome.
The trickster?
The trickster, yeah.
Was that the one where you had to go into the snow area?
Yeah, and then you had
I remember
to chase
you were
him around.
complaining that you didn't get him to pop.
He took forever, yeah.
I went in my first time and he popped.
Yeah, same here.
He was totally random. That's really weird. I had to go in like 12 or 13 times. I was like, what the hell? So that was cool. I don't know, there's
so many hunts. But
there's the giant dinosaur guy that
the Pyrolaster.
Yeah, the Pyrolaster that like when you get him down to his critical state, he doubles his level and becomes like insanely powerful.
Right, he gets pretty crazy. And then I thought the Seer one was really cool. The one before Yasmat, where he brings back the old summon things.
It's not just the Seer; it's also XII. Let's talk about
XII.
Let's talk about that fucking area.
Well, you don't have to do this for XII though. But
no, you don't. No, you don't have to do it for XII. You are correct, sir. But you do at least have to do it for the Seer.
Right.
What is that place? The
Ridorana Cataract.
The Ridorana Cataract.
The Pharaohs is the area.
Instead of going up, which takes fucking 5 hours to go up.
Right.
It didn't actually take me that long, but it was annoying. Instead of going up the cataract, you go down. You decide to go down, and at the very bottom, you will find one of the last hunts.
Right, the 44th hunt in the game.
Right. And in order to get from floor to floor, you have to light these torches on each corner. There's 4 corners of each floor. You have to light these torches, and in order to light these torches, you have to have enough black orbs for each corner.
Right, so, and to get the black orb drops, you have to kill guys in those corners within the room. They can't be in the giant circle area that's full of enemies outside.
They're popping up like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They're pretty high level, and I was in the 90s, and I was like, okay.
I died down there a couple times, yeah.
There's some rough traps like every 5 feet, too, and it's just like...
Float, man. Float was like #1 gambit forever.
Float!
Yeah.
That was a very interesting thing. Now I've seen a lot of complaints, including from you and including from, I believe on this Twitch stream here, someone mentioned it, getting the fucking black orbs,
Right.
collecting them. Caleb, tell me about how you went. I'll talk about how I went and got the black orbs. Now tell me how you went and got the black orbs.
Well, so the black orbs drop after you kill a guy, right? So you just walk
Correct.
up and press X. To grab the
Sometimes
black
it's
orb.
kind of random.
Yeah, it doesn't happen every time, or else it'd be way easy. And so for me, I would just, after I kill a guy, I'd go over and try to press X. Now, the problem with that is if I have any gambits on, if another necrofiend pops up from the dead body of whatever I killed, they get in the way, and I can't press X to get the thing. Mm-hmm. And I knew there's giant black orbs, which is, just a big deposit of these black orbs. So I was like, cool, if I find one of those, that's awesome. If not, I'll just farm these ones. And of course, I wasn't in the 90s, so I was okay with being down there and level grinding a little bit. And it was frustrating because of the fucking mechanics to grab these goddamn things, which is atrocious if you're trying to do it the way you think you're supposed to do it. But, apparently, there's a different way.
All right.
If you look online.
Now, what I did was I was wondering if I could grab black orbs from the floors above and use them on the floors below, because
Right.
the enemies above were much easier and
Which
I could
you
get through
can.
them faster. I went up there and it didn't seem like anything was dropping, so I Googled shit about the black orbs, and then I found someone's comment about how what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to just kill the things, the black orb will drop, and you, if you were like me or like Caleb at the beginning at least, you would try to quickly grab the black orb, yet there was so much shit going on that it was
Right.
like hard to press the X button, which is a problem with Final Fantasy 12, by the way. Is the X button
Oh,
while
yeah.
in battle bullshit.
I hate
It's
that
insane.
so much.
That's just a stupid mechanic that doesn't work. And so then the black orb will suddenly fly away. It's not there for very long.
Right.
And you're trying to grab that black orb, and then you just lose it. What you're supposed to do is just let it go.
Oh, I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do.
No. You're supposed to let it go, because there is one massive black orb on each floor.
Right.
And you go around each corner and you clear it, and once you find that massive black orb, you say, okay, there it is.
Right.
And then you keep going around and you kill a whole bunch of shit, and then when you decide that you probably killed enough guys, you go back to the massive black orb and you'll get a shit ton of black
Yeah,
orbs.
all of the black orbs that fly off will
It'll be
within
all
that.
the black orbs and more.
Nice, yeah.
It'll
'Cause
be
the black
even
orb,
more than what you collected.
Yeah, because there was a few there even when I got it, when I didn't miss it.
So for those of you who are extremely frustrated with that part, like Caleb was, it is not supposed to take that long.
Right.
It takes a little while, and it's kind of a difficult area, but once you find the massive black orb, you just leave it alone, go kill. I just cleared each corner and then went back to it.
Right.
Just kill enough guys, and then you'll have enough and more for that floor.
Right, and then you can use them on the later floors.
Yeah.
And don't make sure you don't sell them when you're selling off loot too. That's one thing I did a couple times on
I
accident.
did that also.
Yeah, it's in the loot pile, so you just
And I
your mind
regretted
isn't
it. I
selling.
think I only had like 9 though, so it wasn't like that big of a deal.
Yeah, so that's frustrating, and I mean that's to unlock the seer. Now there was another really cool hunt, XII. I thought this one was really fun. Obviously, the thunder god that we all know and love from 10, and he's pretty rough for me anyway. Not as rough for me as he was for Caleb, which is surprising because Caleb was higher level. But you kill him and you get Ragnarok, which is one of the coolest designs, like in swords ever. I think it's freaking awesome looking.
That's pretty cool.
And then I got Ultima Blade like an hour later and just never used it again. But it was still cool. What was the problem you were having with this guy, Caleb? Just really quick.
Really, well, he was a lot easier than he should have been, because the thing with Ixion is that if you find him in one of the circle areas, his HP gets cut in half. So he only had like 180,000 instead of like the 32 or 36,000 he was supposed to have.
Yeah, 165 to 306 is the gap.
Yeah.
So that's a good chunk.
And so it's like it cut his HP in half by finding him there. But he was still a pain in the dick, because all he does is cast
Thundaja.
Thundaja, which does a
supposed to dodge it.
ton of damage, and then he also does the stat inflicting of poison and disease. Does he do disease?
I don't know.
I can't remember if he does disease, but he does like blind and all those things, and silence, I believe, which is a huge pain. So I had to keep using remedies and stuff like that, which was my main problem, and I barely beat him with like 2 characters alive.
Right. And he killed you the first time, right?
Yeah.
You had some real problems down in that area. I remember seeing you die to the frogs.
Yeah, I got butt fucked by like 30 frogs.
There were a lot, dude. It was crazy.
And there was a part.
See that by the butt fuck image in my mind of frogs.
Yeah.
Well, like, you didn't even see it, man. There was, like, a part where I was trying to get out of there to go back up to save my characters from, like, losing, like, 3 or 4 levels of leveling. And I kept switching in, like, one party member from my, like, shit party, because, like, I didn't evenly level at all. And Caleb saw as, like, 30 frogs targeted the one guy and insta-killed him before he could do anything, because I was trying to...
walk.
Yeah, couldn't even walk. I tried to revive my characters as quickly as I could with, like, a phoenix down, because items are faster than spells. But there was no hope.
Right.
There is no god down there.
Yeah, so that guy
Except
was...
for the god of frogs.
True, yeah.
You're the god of frogs.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Did we talk about the seer? I know I mentioned him. He was like a dude that was manifesting the bosses in the pharaohs, and you'd fight the boss and kill the boss off, hit him a little bit, fight the next boss, and you basically went through all the bosses, and then you killed him.
Yeah, that was a really weird battle.
Oh yeah, I thought that one was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about my second favorite.
Gilgamesh?
No, he's way better than friggin' Yzmat. Come on.
I said Gilgamesh.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna talk about Yzmat first, and then save Gilgamesh.
Let's talk about Yzmat, because that is a very popular kind of like big thing that people go for. So let's save it for last on the hunt.
All right, fine.
Let's talk about Gilgamesh. Like Gilgamesh is probably, I would agree, a more favorite.
He's iconic.
Yeah,
to
he's
the series.
iconic.
So
he's much like the Gilgamesh of Final Fantasy V.
yeah, he's awesome. He's like comic relief. He's got Enkindu, the dog in this game, attacking alongside him, and of course he's got his rare items that you can steal from him: the Genji glove, Genji helm, Genji armor, and
much like the Genji items of Final Fantasy VI.
yes, much like the Genji items. And I messed up and didn't get the glove. It was a travesty, but. You can still go through
I switched my gambits from attack to steal and then manually attacked. Of course, I was high level enough that it wasn't a big deal. So.
Yeah, I should have just paid attention more. But I thought he was my favorite. He was my favorite hunt in the game.
Yeah,
I thought he was pretty funny. He's got all the swords. He's bringing back all these classic swords. He's got the Buster Sword. He's got the Brotherhood. He's got
the gun sword.
Yeah, the gun sword, the Leonhard or whatever the hell that thing is called.
Right.
And then he's got some stuff from Dragon Quest, which I thought was really awesome. And
he's got the main character's sword.
Yeah, I just thought he was kind of spastic, and I just thought he was a fun character to fight. And then the
cutscene at the end.
Yeah, the final cutscene where he just like...
There's a sword on the ground, you go to grab it, and...
Yeah, it's like just an ordinary sword of legend.
Yeah, oh my god, dude. I saw that and had to take a picture because of the redundancy. Just
Well, it's
like,
more of the
if it's a legendary sword, why the fuck wouldn't he just take it? Because you could like interact with it, but it's like, no, it's just an ordinary legendary sword.
I feel like that was a callback to 5 when he thought he had that. What was it, Excalibur or something like that in the game? It was Excalibur instead.
Good old Excalibur or Excalibur.
Is that from 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was Gilgamesh in 5. I think that was kind of like that, where the sword was probably trash, but Gilgamesh was using it anyway. Anyway, and after you fight him, he just like jumps out the window and just kind of dissipates. And then as your party's walking away, he just like runs in and like grabs the sword real fast, and his hat falls. And like comes back and grabs his hat, and your guy like turns around.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
It was awesome.
It's pretty awesome. That's probably one of the most humorous moments in that thing.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy XII, a very humorless game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than Balthier occasionally, not too much.
Other than Balthier,
everyone's pretty serious.
Okay, Caleb, the super boss of the game. I don't think Omega Mark 12 has.
No.
I don't think a Mega Mark 12 can hold a fucking candle to this guy.
Actually, he might be able to kill him. He does a lot of damage, and Yzmat doesn't know reverse. I don't know. It'd be awesome, but
not if Yzmat. Well, does he have? He doesn't have Dispel. Omega Mark 12 doesn't have Dispel.
True, I think Yzmat
so
still win because
the haste and the regen, it would be disgusting.
Well, he wouldn't leave the fight, so he wouldn't have regen. It'd be a fight to the death.
No, there's regen and haste anyway. You just have to dispel him.
No,
he regens.
He regens if you stay in the area too long. He doesn't naturally have regen on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, now we know how I played
That's why you don't regen. You don't stay.
I don't think Omega Mark 12 holds a candle to this guy, and we'll talk about him in a second. Yzmat.
Yes, the ultimate.
How much HP?
50 million something.
50 fucking million HP. It's fucking disgusting. Caleb, how long did it take you to kill him? I know it took me about 5 hours.
It was about 7 hours. Maybe a little less because I died a couple times. Not running out when I needed to, but it was probably about 7-ish. It was long.
What?
Now, the first like 40 million HP, not hard. It's a long battle. Most of it's automated. I should have berserked my main guy, but I didn't because I wanted the flexibility of casting. But I saw Joe do it, and definitely berserk your main character, especially if you have the Zodiac Spear. Once he gets down to about 10 million, he starts spamming. He starts doing Death Strike like crazy. He starts casting White Breath or whatever that does stop on you.
And his attacks are, he's sped up. His attacks are more frequent.
Really
his
fast.
Armor is way up.
Yeah, he takes about 30% less damage.
It's disgusting.
Right, and my end game tactic was once I got him down to about 3 million, 3 or 4 million, he started spamming his attacks so brutally that I had to switch to a popular tactic that's reverse decoy. What you'll do is you'll throw...
what is reverse for those who don't know?
Reverse is the effect of damage and cures you, and reverses cure and does damage. So normally you use it against a guy, and then you cast a high-level cure spell, and it'll damage him, but if you use it on your own guy, Yzmat's attacks suddenly cure you. Yes, but
very temporarily.
Yes, it only lasts for like 10 seconds, and when he's doing a 12-hit combo on you, it doesn't last the whole time. And the problem with even if it did last the whole time, his basic attacks have the ability to just KO, which I'm sure you noticed. With reverse on, it'll still just KO you. It won't reverse the damage. You'll just die. So it's sick. Okay, the first 40 million, you're like, this guy's just an endurance fight, and that's all I remembered from last time. I was like, it just takes a while.
I was thinking that too because I was melting him.
With Berserk, you will do a lot, especially if you've got the damn Genji glove on.
I had 2 support characters. I had my girl party was my main party at the end because they were in the 90s. I had Pinello and Fran support the whole time. They were casting Shell and Float. I eventually got rid of the Float one because it was wasting fucking time and mana.
Right.
And Arise and all that other shit. And Ash had Bravery. She would cast Bravery on herself and then cast Berserk on herself.
Right.
And she would just go... She would take down Yzmat until she died, and then the other 2 would bring her up. And that was a really, easy tactic up to a point.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Those last 10 million, and especially the last 4.
They're brutal.
4 and 3. They're disgusting.
Yeah, we both died on it. And, I mean, one thing that it did to me, that it also did to you, is he cast... what was it, regen? And he gained like a few million back, but he was still damaging you as if he didn't have those 2 million life. So it was sick. He was scaling like a fucker at this point. Like he was as if he only had 2 million left for me and he had 5 something. Because I was in the corner and I was like, oh, I'm safe here. It's okay. And I just kind of rezzed up, and then all of a sudden I look up and it's like...
Well, the thing is, I developed a tactic where I would get the timing right on. It's like... I got my gambits down exactly, because I had to do this in the middle of the fight. I had to get my gambits down exactly to where they needed to be, so that as soon as someone died, I would be at the edge, I would run out, and then there'd be one person left alive, because once one person died and I run out, then Death Strike would hit the next guy.
Right.
I would have that one person arise, and then I'd have Fran do Shelga, and I'd have Penella do hastes, and then I'd have, as soon as Ash went berserk, she'd have the 2 moves and she'd suddenly go berserk, and then I'd run back out again. There was a perfect timing to it so that I'd get there before he cast regen and haste on himself.
Except the one time that he did, which is sick.
Except
so
the
don't
one
let that
time.
happen.
Except the one time, but that one time, after that one time is when I learned my lesson. I was
Right.
like, I'm getting this timing fucking down. And that's how I beat him, is I would just, of course, it's a huge map, but Yzmat can only attack you in a certain area unless he's targeted you with Death Strike. And so, if you just stay near the edge and you have Shell, then Death Strike only has a 50% chance of hitting.
Which I didn't know.
And if it missed, I knew that then Ash would be safe to berserk.
Right.
So there was a whole entire strategy for the last 4 or 5 million for me that was just like, oh, it was intense.
Yeah. And I was
and I did die once, and I had lost. I only saved like twice on that guy. I think, well, maybe 3 times. I saved 3 times, I think. And so I was on stage 4 when I killed him.
I think I was on like stage 7.
You were on stage 7.
Yeah.
So
it was rough.
it's a rough battle.
I took a different tactic, which is widely used, the berserk, not the berserk,
the reverse
decoy, which does work well, but I didn't realize that Shelga cut down Death Strike, because Death Strike was just killing me every time.
Well, yeah, if you were in the middle of the map, and I thought it was a better thing, but I was wrong.
No, it's not.
If you're in the map where Yzmat can reach you,
He'll attack.
he won't use Death Strike, he will use his regular attack.
Yeah.
But if he's targeting a guy that he cannot physically reach within the map, then he'll start using Death Strike. Death Strike is an instant kill unless you have Shelga, so it's 50% if you have Shell
Yeah,
on.
50% chance to kill.
So it's best to just quickly cast Shell.
Yeah, and pull him kind of towards the edge of the map. I noticed was
Yeah.
a great tactic. And the whole time, the nice thing about Death Strike is if he readies it and you've got another spell in queue, Final Fantasy XII is retarded when it comes to spell casting, and it's only one at a time. So Ash could be sitting there just laying into this guy 4 or 5 hits before he even casts the spell. So it is the way to go.
So yeah, that's the tactic I used.
He was rough, but it was satisfying as hell when he died.
Oh man, that's
good.
That's the hardest boss I've ever fought in any of the Final Fantasies.
Yeah, he was
so
rough.
far. I realize there are super bosses I skipped out on, but being the only super boss I've ever fought and won, that was disgusting.
Right, and then Omega Mark 12 was a fun fight. He's a giant mimic guy, balls deep in the Great Crystal, but not nearly as difficult.
Not nearly as difficult. It might have been difficult if I didn't look on the wiki page.
Yeah.
About him.
I used. He still hits really, really hard when he hits you, but
It's true. The thing
fine.
that's hard about him is that he's extremely fast, and he'll insta-kill a character
if they don't have bubble.
if he... he'll do 2 hits and he'll kill a character.
Right.
And he'll do them very quickly and in succession. So the strategy that we found very quickly to kill Omega Mark 12 very, very easily, it was your first gambit. Your first gambit needs to be to cast reverse on yourself.
Right.
Your second gambit is to cast Arise on any of your fallen party members.
Mm-hmm.
Your third gambit is to attack the nearest enemy. And that's it.
There's one optional one to get rid of Berserk, but I was like, I'm going to keep Berserk.
Well,
It's kinda bad.
He'll kill that guy, and then another character will res,
And then they'll do...
and then
yeah.
they'll do their thing.
There's a chance for it to backfire, though. Because of the time it takes to res, that character might run out of reverse, and he might
Did you
just
have a
zap.
single problem during that fight, though?
That happened, but no, I didn't have a single problem.
Right.
Because the other person was like, Arise.
Dude, I just sat in the corner with Fran and just watched his health go away.
Yeah.
Slowly, because he's got a lot of health.
Yeah,
but
it's like 10 million.
it
12
ain't no
million.
Yzmat fight with those.
No.
And I had Fran cast, once she finally cast reverse on herself, I had her cast haste Stega on everyone, which reverse doesn't reverse.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, it works. So that guy was pretty cool. That's and then you only got a
That
couple
was a
of
cool
the-
fight, but getting to him was a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, getting to him was horrifying. I thought it was awesome that we both took down Ultima. It's kind of a, it's close to us.
Yeah, we took it down.
Yeah, I mean,
We're taking down. No.
Yeah, we're done with the show. As you can see, we hate each other, and we need to move on. No, I took down obviously everything as far as the bosses go, and I think the summons were pretty cool in this one.
Tell me about going through the summons, because I didn't purposely go and get the summons. I mean, I got a few.
Yeah, a few you run into.
That I ran into, yeah. So that was it.
The Kuchulain guy, or whatever the hell his name is, he's like the big fat dude in the Garamsith waterway. He had a little bit of side questing I had to do to get like a key to unlock a certain area and then flood certain gates and walk through and touch things partway through. I don't know, it was weird. And then I would unlock him, and then I went and fought him. He was actually kind of rough. He took down my whole party at one point.
Okay.
Because he casts all these status effects, and I can't do anything, and my health just saps like uber fast with poison, sap, everything you can imagine.
Everything that takes down your health.
Yeah, and I'm disabled, so I couldn't move.
There you go.
So he was rough, but I kicked his ass in the end. Zodiac was rough. I think he was almost as difficult as Ultima, if not more so. He would just go immune like crazy, and he was in the Hen Mines, like the really, really rough area of the Hen Mines where you power level to 99. He was the last one, and he was pretty brutal. There were some cool ones, like there was a side quest for the Judge Sal. I can't remember what that guy's name is. He's like the lightning guy. Where you, in the Mossforeign Highways, you mess with the little steam places, and like the weeds float up, and you can walk across them to get up to this top area and go fight him.
Okay.
It was Exodus, that's who it was. He was really easy. And I don't know, the other ones I just ran into.
How'd you feel about the summons, just overall? Because they're named differently than the rest of the series, but of course they got their own unique look to each of these unique summons. I mean, they're different from what we've seen so far.
They're also part of tactics.
Yeah, that's actually where they come from.
Well, I didn't know that, so shut up.
The Chuchulin guy that Caleb was just talking about, the green one, is actually one of the bosses in Tactics. Is the same with the Belias the Gigas, the first summon that you get.
Right.
He's also like one of the hardest fights in Tactics.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a throwback to that.
Well, he's one of the weakest summons in this game.
True.
So
Yeah,
interesting.
Weird.
I thought, beforehand, I thought the summons were useless in 12. I've always just had this, prejudice, I guess, to the summons, that they're like, oh, they all suck in all the games. But honestly, there were a few times where I was like, all right, I need some extra firepower. I pull in the summon, and I'm like, holy shit, like, this guy's rocking. And I know you experienced the same thing on one of the hunts.
I did it a couple times, yeah.
Okay, screw this, and you pull him out, and he's just nuking. He hit the guy twice,
One of the few hunts that I did at early on in the game, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the Marauder and the Mines guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Pulled him out, and he was just two-shot the dude. So, I mean, they're very useful to a point. Now, just like any other Final Fantasy, they drop off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And so it's not really wise to just use the summons the whole time.
I'd say to use the quickenings. And we could talk about those real quick as part of gameplay. How did you feel about the limit breaks in this game?
I liked them this time around.
Yeah.
I did. They added a challenge aspect to it, as far as getting your timing right, and it really made the game a game that plays itself. It made it really interactive for those moments. At the same time, it was infuriating when you got a bad chain, just out of pure dumb luck, bad luck. And I really wish it was kind of a last resort thing instead of a full mana thing.
Yeah.
I think that would have been more useful during a battle to do that. But the quickening itself, I thought, was a cool system, and of course, the really epic kind of animations that go along with it.
Yeah.
I do wish that later on you could have shortened the time a little bit, like you could with FF10 summons.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the amount of time you get for chaining it up. That would also limit that. But I thought the quickenings were awesome. I think it was worlds above, the mist thing in 9 or the whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, the mist thing in 9. I still think FF8 had the best limit break system.
I think it was broken as hell.
I like the limit breaks itself. I don't like that you can cast Aura and get it like every time in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah. The limit breaks were cool. No, actually, no, they weren't. Squalls was cool.
Squalls. That's what I'm talking about.
Angelo is
and
stupid.
I like Zells too.
Zells was alright.
Yeah, Zeldas were fun.
Yeah, and selfies where you get full cure every once in a while.
Yeah.
Now that was one you would exploit also.
I preferred when I got Ultima with her. You know, it was like, it's like 9,999 super early, and I was like, holy god. But yeah. No, I really liked him. It sucked that it drained all your mana, but it was more of a last resort in that respect.
It's not a last resort though, because you would have, if you were in the middle of a really tough fight, you would have used all your fucking mana.
True.
And then it's like, well, what's the point of using the? So I like the quickening by itself. I don't necessarily like the quickening system in which, as far as when you use it, it's kind of like the FF9 limit breaks that were really the trance mode.
Yeah.
Where, you would just be doing random battles, and it would just in a place where you don't need it, your guy would suddenly go into trance, and you'd be like,
yeah.
I think the trance was.
Why can't I use this for a boss?
Yeah, World's more atrocious than anything 12 could commit with the with the limits. But yeah, I kind of agree. I used to use it to nuke some of the easier bosses because I knew I could.
Yeah.
So.
You can definitely take out certain bosses with one shot if you get the right quickening chain.
Right, it was good stuff.
I one shotted the optional boss of the King Bomb in the Salika Wood doing that.
Yeah.
All right. So, gameplay, good or bad? What do you guys think?
You can go first, Caleb.
I really enjoyed it. There are a few flaws, like the gathering of the orbs and like mid combat and anything else that you have to do that wise. But I didn't feel like any part of it was like really annoying. Every enemy that I came across, I killed instantly. I didn't find it as being time consuming or grind heavy. Even though I did do a lot of grinding, but it didn't feel like it didn't detract. To me, I don't think it did. Anyway, I really enjoyed the gameplay. The quickenings were awesome, but I don't like how they, like you said, they took away from the mana. I did use them as a last resort. If I got them down to the last bar, I would use a quickening because you can, even though you only have the one mana thing, you can still get the third level quickenings if you get the right chains and stuff going. Right. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the gameplay, even though it has a few flaws.
All right. What do you think, Joe?
I don't like the license point system with the leveling up system, as I said before. I don't care for the extreme amount of items and openness, and that the game, it's not that I need the game to hold my hand, it's that I do need the game to hint at what it is that one would need without having to use a guide. I don't like how the game is so extremely grindy should you choose not to do the extra stuff. I don't like the progressing system, I guess, is what I would say. The actual combat, although the game kind of does play itself, there are some moments where you got to use your brain as far as like what gambits you have to set up for certain enemies and when to use certain spells. So that stuff is really interesting to me, and I did enjoy that very much. I also enjoyed how I didn't have to go into a sudden random battle all the time. I enjoyed it. It was a breath of fresh air. Not that we didn't have it on 11, but comparison to the previous 10 games before 11, it was nice to be in an open world environment, and that was really cool to me. There's tons of extra stuff, which although I don't necessarily want to do everything, I do like that the game has lots and lots of extra stuff for you to do. And just think about this, besides Final Fantasy XI, there is not a bigger, more expansive Final Fantasy game out there as far as the main series and what we've seen so far. So for me, there's some good things about the gameplay. There's a lot of bad things about the gameplay for me. I found myself a lot of times either infuriated or bored, except when I was on a really cool boss fight, which 12 has a lot of really cool boss fights. So, for me, the gameplay, I don't know. I'm conflicted.
All right.
I know you love the gameplay, though.
Yeah,
Tell us about how much you love the gameplay.
I think the gameplay is fantastic. I like the open world feel. I like the way. I like the fact that the game, as you said, doesn't hold your hand. It's like, all right, well, good luck. And the game tells you where to go.
See, 11 did that too, and it said "fuck you" at the same time.
Yeah,
it said "good luck, fuck you," and then it kicked you out the door. It's
right. 12 at least.
12
gives you
doesn't
something.
do that. I mean, I knew where to go. At
right,
least.
And I don't know. And
it's not what to get.
Yeah, with 12, I mean the gameplay. Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of hunts. There's all this extra content. I like the speed of the battle system, which I had at max speed the whole time.
The speed, okay, yeah, I'll say the speed.
The speed's
good.
It's not as fast as 10 can be, but it's defaultly very quick.
At the same time, you don't have the in between, which I feel is part of the speed.
Yeah, for 12.
Yeah, so yeah, just quickly going up and going one-shotting like a wolf or something on your way. That's nice as far as speed goes. Although, of course, I don't believe you should have had to fight every single wolf on your way.
Right. Of course, the R2 button is fully functional on that controller.
Well.
I don't know. I liked the boss fights. I liked the game. I thought the gambits were fine. I mean, it does play itself, but it does add kind of a way to not have to worry about the little bullshit within the game. So that part I thought was okay. And I think it's a great gameplay-wise. What do you think, Caleb?
I agree. It's really good gameplay wise. I enjoyed the license point system along with the leveling. One thing that I don't like though is the I guess the blankness of every character. You can just be like every character can you can just make them be whatever you want. They're not they don't
They're
have
not
specific
stuck
they
on
don't
a
have
job,
specific characteristics that that was kind of one thing. But I also really like the customization that you could do with the license board, like at the very beginning where you couldn't necessarily have everything like you ended up having with the super leveling that you did, but
right.
Yeah. So I think the choices that you make for the augments and the spells that you take in the beginning is really interesting, and I enjoyed that a lot.
All right, so I figure we all know where we stand as far as gameplay is concerned. So let's go on to our next section, and let's talk about the design of the game, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 sec.
You want to block that guy? It's fucking pissing me off. I don't like seeing his fucking pictures in the corner.
Is that Hitler?
I don't know. It looks like it.
It looks like Gordon B. Hinckley.
Really?
Oh, fuck.
I'm seeing Hitler with like a frowny.
out there.
I'm seeing Hitler with like a frowny face.
I don't give a
how to ban people.
Well, figure it out real fucking quick, dude.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's like a command. The thing.
Google how to ban people.
I can't fucking Google it. It's over there on the other fucking screen.
Hold and turn the screen. I don't care what you do. We'll be back, Twitch guys. We'll be back. Just give us a minute. We'll scroll up to your comments. Fuck this guy.
It's Hitler.
Is this a common thing on Twitch? I mean, I'm new to Twitch, so I don't really...
Not really. I mean, there are people who do that in like the chat stuff, but they don't spam the shit out of it.
Well, no, I think the whole point is that he's trolling.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just wondering why he's trolling.
Because he's a dick. Is it him that keeps saying stuff in between it, or is he just spamming it like crazy?
Someone else is trying to get their question through, and that guy's doing that shit.
There was a problem ignoring the user.
What?
Alright, fine. Yeah, totally new to the Twitch. This guy's a cunt.
Robot.
I love the first gen naming system. Freaking Squirtle is Squirt and Turtle.
Oh my god.
Charmander is Salad.
Dude, it keeps telling me it's an invalid thing.
Well, then look for something else.
Alright.
It's not very powerful. He's having trouble clicking on very small. I think he falls at like 26. Those 20s in this group. 20s?
With next to their name, huh?
Can you prevent your Pokemon from you all?
Do you have to be on Twitch?
Just want to keep it the same.
Oh, maybe.
That noise is gonna be one hell of a thing. Make sure to mute the video.
Every time a Pokemon evolves, they get like an instant increase in stat points. But by forcing it not to evolve. By forcing it not to evolve.
Just hold on, guys. Technical difficulties. We'll get rid of this shit.
So it'll still keep its like same stuff, but it just won't actually boost. Well, just want to do that.
Cameron, do you have my card?
Your card? Yes.
Why'd you say no? I said your card. No, I don't have your card.
Why would I have your card?
Yeah, come on, why?
So I go home, I open the door, the first thing I saw was this carbon monoxide so strong. Like someone left the car, like turn on the car and just left it running in the garage. And so the first thing I do, the first thing I do is I sit in the garage and I open the door just to make sure he's not sitting in his Bronco, because I thought that too. I'm like, oh shit, he killed himself. And so I run in there.
Stuck in this apartment.
And so he runs it. So I run in there and he's not in there, and it's just he's not stuck there.
So someone else, a neighbor.
No,
So are you not on the
because
lease?
So he was running his car.
Did you get it?
I think so. He's not there. I'm gonna make one of these guys a moderator.
So
He's gonna fucking give in.
So I guess he must have run his Bronco or something for a long time.
Tell him.
And so what I did is
Tell
I had
him
to
what?
open up
Any?
all the windows downstairs. So
Do you recognize any of them?
Yeah.
Okay, make the people you recognize moderators.
I don't even know how.
Oh, you don't know how?
No. I'll get the moderator shit taken
we
care
would
of.
all make you. We would make you all moderators if we could.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to do it. But yeah, I'm glad you love the Dr. Aki Ross.
totally Hitler.
Yeah.
Be anybody else.
Okay.
Alright, well that was a fucking bullshit interruption. Hopefully they don't just keep coming back.
Okay, he had some questions, so if you could scroll up.
Ah, Jesus, dude. It's gonna be like a 7-parter for YouTube. Oh my god.
It's too bad we can't just erase those.
Alright. Wow, noob. Yes, he's a fuck. Holy shit. Gay. Yes, yes. Gay again.
I think a gay person would just be so much more polite.
Alienware isn't worth the money. I'm being serious about these gay fairies and magic spell. This trailer seems a bit, you know... What the fuck?
But at the... Now if a girl with the blue hairs. Kill with the fag with the goatee. What the fuck?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I think he's talking about the video that's on loop.
No, I think...
he's spamming too.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh yeah, he did it again.
Oh no, he didn't.
Is Alienware not worth
Alienware has never been worth the money, dude. Just build your own shit.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm not gonna read the rest of it because I'm not gonna go through.
Someone asked what your
Oh my
biggest
God.
quickening chain was. You don't have to. No, I remember it.
Okay,
I saw it in the corner.
I think mine was like 20.
I think mine was like 12 or 15, maybe.
Alright.
Like
Fair enough. If you had a question you want us to answer, ask it again. Okay, /mod for the mod.
Okay. Alright, whatever. I guess we'll just ignore it. Okay.
Midnight Buffalo, you're like half spamming. And no, Alienware is not worth it. It's a brand. Oh my god.
Is that same guy?
Yeah, it is.
Alright, well, we might have to turn off comments.
Yep.
Alright, sorry guys.
Yeah, we'll come back to it after. Oh, fuck, that thing is still... Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's gone. Now there's like a double video. It's really weird.
It's centered on Joe.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
Boop.
So how much is the moderator thing? Can we
Like
get,
a bot?
Yeah, like a bot.
Yeah, I can get a bot.
How much is it?
I don't know. I'll have to look at it.
We need to do that now.
We need to do something
We
for these...
officially need to get a bot.
to appease these fucks and their bots that are...
That are lengthening our YouTube time.
Yeah, bullshit amounts. Making us look like assholes.
Let's talk about design.
Alright.
Alrighty. You ready?
Yeah.
Alright, so the design of the game, guys. Was this or was this not a really fucking awesome looking PS2 game?
Yeah.
It was
One of
incredible.
the higher looking ones, I think.
It looked so high.
Yeah.
Caleb,
the-
pull the mic towards you a little bit.
Red around the eyes, hungry, just high.
Just had the munchies.
High off its ass.
It surprisingly it used the same engine as Final Fantasy XI, and it utilized it so much better. I would say it felt like it was a lot more detailed with its imagery, and not every single NPC looked exactly the same, which is
Right.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just aesthetically, I thought it was a very, very aesthetically pleasing looking game.
Yeah, I feel like the style, it was a lot better. I mean, I even kind of like it more than 10 in some ways. Maybe not the backgrounds, but the character models.
I agree, character models are much better.
Way more realistic, way more down to earth, less super anime.
Yeah, super anime, zany kind of thing.
Yeah,
going
like
on.
the only lame thing was Vaughn's little stupid half jacket, but it even made sense, I guess, because it's hot as hell.
The vest was really
That's pretty stupid.
really stupid looking.
The airbrushed abs.
Yeah, but yeah, they do look pretty airbrushed. I mean, it's PS2, so.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the design for this game was fantastic. I like the look of the areas.
I do believe Amano had a big part to play as far as the art design for this game, and we haven't seen him since Final Fantasy VI as far as being one of the leads on the art team, which is, I think, it was something we wanted before. Remember, we were talking about why isn't Amano back? I'm sick of this Nomura crap.
Guess he was. I just didn't think
He
of it in
was.
12. 12, I think, looks amazing.
Yeah.
The artwork is fantastic. I
don't know.
really wish Amano was still doing it.
Caleb, what do you think?
I think I like the art style better than in like 10s and some of the other games. Everything looked really good. Even the creature designs and like everything was just really amazing looking. And even like the cities and like the background designs were really awesome, even though a lot of them were deserts and just caves, but then they each like kind of felt different, except for maybe the mines. The mines were all...
It's true. It had a unique atmosphere for each thing, for the most part. I mean, you're right about the mines being kind of
Bland, yeah.
It's so much of a departure from Final Fantasy XI. Yeah.
Yeah, the areas are interesting the whole time. Like the Still Shrine of Miriam area is awesome. There's like the statues. It's got the just the design of it, like the Egyptian style.
I'm thinking my
interior.
least favorite area in the whole game was just amazing looking. The Great Crystal.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, and it was all really cool looking. Final Fantasy XI is bland as shit when it comes to how the game looks, and Final Fantasy XII took its down to earth style I'd say. Not that it took it, but it had a similar down-to-earth style, only it was much more complex and interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the design for it is fantastic. It's top tier. Especially for a PS2 game. It looks amazing.
Now, I do want to say that technically, the graphics were not as good as in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
I read up on this.
Yeah.
There are less polygons on the designs throughout all of Final Fantasy XII. There are less polygons on all the character models. And in order to make up for that, they decided, okay, we're going to take away polygons, but we're going to use that hardware to instead support more textures and more complex lighting to make the game look really great. So even though Final Fantasy X had more detailed models in it, Final Fantasy XII's utilized less polygons in I believe, a much better way.
Yeah.
It does make it
From the original PS2 version of both of the games.
Yeah, it does make it look amazing. I mean, like it feels like you can see more detail, like even in the hair of the characters than in like Final Fantasy X, which is a higher graded graphic game.
Right.
Yeah, they did a lot with it. They utilized the technology a little better instead of just having super awesome models in there. They used it for what it was, and I think they did a great job.
Another thing about Final Fantasy X versus Final Fantasy XII, I do think that Final Fantasy XII also improved upon the movements of the characters. Final Fantasy X was still kind of stuck in that spritey sort of movement, pre-recorded movement way. You know what I'm talking about? You know, like Titus is trying to, or Riku or someone is trying to explain something, and their arm will wave, and it has a very specific loop to it, and you see it.
Right.
Final Fantasy XII didn't do that. It was very, I don't know, it just felt really natural, the movements of the characters. And of course the 3D, the pre-rendered 3D motion video sequences, those are of course still just top of the line.
Yeah, I think
not that 10 didn't have top of the line ones, or
Right.
that 11's one wasn't top of the line, but 12's were really impressive.
Yeah, I think it upped the ante on both of those games. I think they looked substantially better than 10, I'd say, as far as the videos, and they seamlessly, it was just like an instant transition.
It's true, yeah. There wasn't so much of a loading screen kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and a lot of it was the HD remaster for us. The loading in the regular game, not as much, but still more than 12, because 12 it was just like cutscene.
Well, 12 also had larger areas, utilizing Final Fantasy XI's graphic engine, of course.
True.
It could hold bigger areas, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so the transitions were less frequent. So maybe that's why it just seems
It could
like
be.
it was less in the way.
Right. So overall, I guess we all really like the design of the game.
I'd say this is the best looking, from Final Fantasy 1 to 12, this is definitely the best looking game, and it's the best looking Final Fantasy game on the PS2.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, yeah, they really upped the ante. 11 was a step down, which is odd for this series.
Yeah.
I'd say 5 is the only other step down, where 5 didn't look quite as good as 4.
Right.
But that was more of like a color choice kind of thing. It was less
As
about
opposed to the actual look of the game.
the actual look of the game. 12 is just, it's the best a PS2 can look. I mean, 12 and Metal Gear Solid 3, like those PS2 games, you could have said it was a PS3 game had it, not had the fuzzy AV cables kind of screwing up
Right.
the signal. It's PS2 compression. If it didn't have that, you could believe it was a PS3 game.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, early
easily.
PS3.
Early PS3, yeah.
I think it looks
I
as
see
good
that.
as Resistance Fall of Man. Good God. When I look back at that, I'm like, ooh, I used to be top of the line. Looks like shit. But of course, it's a totally different game, so it's not even fair to judge it against that. Well, now that we've praised the design, let's move on to something a little darker.
Yeah.
The music.
Dun, dun.
Sorry we can't chat, guys.
Yeah.
I love you all. Please,
Yeah, Yeah, I'll make someone a mod and they can ban people for me. I just need to do it. I don't know. We'll take care of it after this. I'll make sure the next stream is bullshit proof as far as I can do.
Cameron's saying something. What do you want?
The troll is back.
The troll is back?
Yeah, I'm in the chat room, so if they have any questions, I relay them. But
We blocked the chat on our view, so we don't see it.
I know, but
Okay.
he's in there. You know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, just don't watch the chat. Just watch us, and we can talk about this later.
Yeah, we'll do a behind the scenes deal for you guys. Just once we get done with the actual podcast, I'll block that fuck, and then you guys can answer your questions then. Just try not to let it piss you off.
Or really quickly, go onto our forums and join. By the way, for the troll over there, if you decide to join a forum, I can block your computer.
Yeah.
So.
Anthony's telling you how to do it. He's telling you how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The troll is telling us how to block?
No, Anthony is.
Oh, someone else is telling us how to block.
All right, let's look at it.
Well, we already blocked someone, didn't we?
No, he didn't. He didn't get blocked.
Oh, he didn't get blocked.
Well, then what'd you do?
I didn't do anything. He just stopped for a second.
It's ridiculous how we're spending so much time on this guy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, guys.
/mod and then play your name. All right.
And that's how you make a moderator?
Yeah. I'll give it to Anthony. And then play your name.
Okay. It just popped up, so you can just click on it.
Click it.
Does that guy come on a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. We're trusting you.
He's pretty awesome.
Anthony, king of the chat.
Yeah, give him no quarter.
Unless you want to rip him into quarters.
Yeah, if you want to rip him into quarters, please. Yep, and it's God, enough with the Alienware shit, too.
Block that guy, too.
Yeah, Midnight Buffalo is doing the same thing. Kill him. Fuck you and your Alienware.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for following, Tony Mandude.
If he's still listening.
That's amazing. Yeah, if you didn't get super fucking pissed off like me.
Okay.
All right. Hang on. Jesus, my eyesight. Oh my God, never mind. I'm not gonna add it to the video. We'll be able to. Fuck! I gotta bring it back up though. Oh God. It's a fucking messy episode.
Well,
This is like the olden days of behind the scenes.
look, if you guys want a streamlined version of this episode, I just put everything together in the iTunes. So, if you want to
If you want to listen to it in the way it was meant to be heard, it's like Bose.
Oh, God. Okay, well,
Thank you, my friend.
yeah, so if anybody pops up, I'm trusting you. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Is Anthony on our forum?
I don't know.
We don't know.
He's been a return viewer.
Yeah, he's been on there for a long time.
Okay. I guess. Okay.
It's amusing, but it's fucking bullshit. Don't get me wrong, I find it worth a chuckle. I also find it worth caving this person's.
Okay, well, if he does.
End
Get him
him.
out of here.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, let's resume this shit.
Alright, woo!
From the top.
Not from the top, are you kidding me? No, from music, man. From music. And then we got
Questions?
questions, yeah, lots of questions.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Well, at least we have next week off, as far as how much time we have to spend in front of a microphone.
True.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm. Alright, so musically,
Lacking.
yeah, I don't know. I still think it's better than 11's, because 11's had a lot of pieces that were really annoying.
I thought 11 had a lot of good pieces, though.
It had like 3
Also,
good pieces
yeah, but they
out
were
of
like
6
They
total.
really stuck out.
Yeah, that's true. Now 12 was just, I thought it was good for what it was as far as just a soundtrack, something playing in the background. Very MMO feeling. which Final Fantasy... now, while I love the soundtracks, I do acknowledge the fact that they almost take away from the game at times. I know that's almost borderline blasphemy to say.
I don't think Final Fantasy VI's soundtrack ever takes away from the game except at the auction house.
Well, the auction house and the Coliseum are horrible. But no, and I mean with 7, my favorite piece, Cosmo Canyon, is awesome. But it's so like insane that it's just it's almost distracting. Yeah, but
I think it has more to do with volume than the piece itself.
well, then maybe they shouldn't have it max volume. I'm not the one that they mixed it. They know. But no, definitely lesser. No doubt about it in my mind. Its soundtrack is not that great.
Well, it's not that it has to be Nobuo or else it's a crappy soundtrack. It's not like that.
It's like that.
It's
Come
not
on.
like that because I'm telling you, the soundtrack that I've heard from Final Fantasy 15 so far
And
has
14.
been amazing.
Okay, I thought you were about to say 13. I was like, no. No, the freaking music. Ah, God.
Talk about the music.
Yes,
on
we
13
will.
when we get to the 13 review, and I actually think the music on 13 is okay.
I know you do. I know.
It certainly doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game. Now, Final Fantasy 12 soundtrack does kind of fit in the Final Fantasy realm. It's very melodic, but it's just
there.
it doesn't have any soul. I don't know how to say it any other way.
Yeah. It's like if 8's soundtrack didn't have the 2 or 3 really good songs in it, it would be the same. That's how I feel about 12. Is like it's just there. Like everyone's like with the Fisherman's Horizon, like, oh, that's one of my favorite pieces. I have no idea what it sounds like. I have no idea what almost everything in 12 sounds like myself. And that, as far as a video game goes,
It's like,
that's
what's the
okay.
difference in the music between Rabanastre and Bujerba? And I don't know, can you point it out? In your head, can you think of it?
I can think of Rabanastre's, but I can't remember Bujerba's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
they
music is pretty forgettable.
Yeah, which is unfortunate for the series especially. But
Well, the plus side is there's no song that we horribly hated or like really.
hang on.
Well, I mean, like there's always like one or two that gets annoying, but I mean, there's not one that I can say specifically that I hated.
Okay.
Like like that one song from 8 in that town that was just yeah.
The S star.
Yeah, the
S-Star's
S-Star
theme.
theme.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
there's not a single song in there that I would say that is anywhere near that level.
Okay, I would agree with that, but that ending theme song,
Oh well.
I don't know
ending theme
why they
song.
do this. I don't know why. I don't like it.
I haven't liked any of the ending theme songs.
Now I feel like we should have a crap rank of the theme songs. Okay, so
I know a lot of people love them, and I'm not going to tell you that your musical... Well, I am going to tell you that your musical taste sucks.
it's all opinion though for music.
But,
obviously.
you know, whatever makes you want to... Whatever gives you the feels, or
Yeah.
whatever touches you is what touches you, so whatever, but I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, and this one, it didn't even really fit the feel of the game.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
So like it was even worse than some of the others in that aspect. Not necessarily musically. It was whatever. I didn't like it, obviously, but it wasn't. It was no you know what, which we will not mention because everyone's like, "Man, you're crazy." But
Eyes on Me is the greatest song of all time!
yeah, do you hear?
Fuck
anyway,
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I don't know why they do that.
Billie Jean can suck my billy cock.
Yeah.
Eyes
it's
on
just
Me
bad.
is the best. Also, Atreyu.
Yeah.
Yeah, just lump
Sorry.
those two together.
I was thinking of Atreyu because someone messaged me about doing podcasts, and they were talking about how they were going to do like a podcast about post-hardcore bands, and they listed Atreyu, and he said no hate, so I got to put the hate on Atreyu there.
Yeah, Atreyu sucks. There's a few good songs that they've released, but
I'm not grabbing the bull by the horns.
no, that's a horrible song.
Fucking hate
And
that.
their version of Epic makes me want to destroy. It's horrible. Okay, it's almost as bad as Five Finger Death Punch's rape of House of the Rising Sun that just makes me want to cry.
Five Finger Death Punch rapes every microphone that comes across.
Even their own music. Anyway, this song is pretty bad. I didn't care for it. I don't know. I don't hate it as much as the others, infamous ones with us, but I don't even know where to put it in the list if I made a crap list.
I don't mind Sticky Dane.
No, that one was okay.
I really fucking hate Eyes on Me. The fucking opening 10-2 bullshit.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's down there also. What can I do for you or whatever?
So would you put it mid-range then? Mid-range?
I would put it above those two.
Which at this point would be mid-range.
I'd probably put it below Melodies of Life. I mean,
Melodies of Life was okay.
I still don't think Melodies of Life is a good song. I still think it's kind of not that great, but it's much more bearable than the other three songs that I listed.
All right, yeah, that's fair enough.
So it's weird when one of the best songs is Melodies of Life in a series.
Yeah, well, it's not going to get any better than this.
I know we got a listener named Gammon Stark who really likes that song. So I'm not going to say that it's like the worst.
No, it's okay.
It's.
I thought
out of all the bad songs, it's one of the best.
I didn't realize, and I know this is off topic because we're talking about 12. But I didn't realize that there was an actual lyrical version of that until the end. I thought it was that. I was like, how? It sounds like some simpleton singing it. I don't know. It's weird. And I feel like it was supposed to be, she was actually singing it. I hope to God. So like, oh, she's got a beautiful voice, but she's over there. La, la, la. I'm like, yeah, maybe if she was singing, she would have a beautiful voice, but she's not. That's just making noise.
Am I the only one who thought of a kid with like severe Down syndrome,
Oh God,
trying to catch butterflies in a field and singing that song?
That's really messed up. But no, you're not.
That is some really odd imagery right there.
But now you're thinking of it?
Yeah,
and it fucking fits.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah, that was really odd. But yeah, I don't think musically it's. God, dude.
Is it a butterfly net?
Could be like the opening intro to like a weird sitcom about the Down syndrome kid.
I don't know. It sounds like something they would put in Tropic Thunder, but sorry, I'm so that was the most insensitive thing said on this show.
Probably. No, it's but yeah.
It sounds funny to me.
But yeah, 12's music, nothing crazy. I think we're all in agreement on that at the very least.
Yes.
The music, it's bearable.
The music is lukewarm and forgettable.
Yes.
So in comparison to the 11 games before it, I mean, you disagree on 11. At least to the first 10 games before it, not great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of matches 8 for the most part, except for the masterpieces that 8 has.
8 has some great pieces.
But 8 has a lot of really god-awful fucking pieces, too.
It does.
Like that fucking SR theme makes me so mad. It's so annoying.
It haunts me.
We're just losing listeners every time we talk about how much you hate Final Fantasy VIII.
I don't hate... Okay, Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack I do, but not as a whole. It's okay. But it's better than 12's. So 12 is it down near the bottom. I would say so. Dude, the Sorceress theme.
Yeah, it's awesome. But
that's like more awesome.
You gotta like judge with the there because like.
Okay, so you're saying it's middling out.
Yeah, it's like middling out, so it's like kind of the same because it's like 12s is like middle ground where it doesn't annoy you, but then it doesn't really stand out.
Yeah.
So because it doesn't really distract either because there's not anything that's just like forceful, but
right.
So it's
that's okay if that's what you think.
Yeah.
I don't, but. All right, well, do you guys want to move on to some questions here?
Yes, you got the jingle pulled up?
I do not.
Oh, maybe you should.
Oh, maybe. Maybe I was a little bit distracted.
Oh, by the way, in speaking about Final Fantasy music, Dave is pretty close to a cover that he's doing for us for our Patreon donors.
Yes, this is
what
is it? Melodies of Life?
It is Melodies of Life. I mean, speaking of Melodies of Life, he has come up with a seriously. I mean, I've only heard guitar and bass and drums. I mean, I haven't heard the vocals put on top of it, and he doesn't have everything completely recorded. He has drums and bass, and then I guess he told me that the drums were going to be replaced instead of doing computer drums, because Dave can't drum. Instead of doing computer drums, I guess he's going to hire a musician to do the drums, so it'll be real drums.
Yes.
But I have heard the bass, and he kind of told me how it was going to fit together, and it just sounds awesome.
Right. So that is coming.
So sweet.
That is coming. He's obviously working on a new album, so it's hard to get him. But
yeah, he is very busy working on the 15th.
That everyone is paying for crowdfunded. Come on. Totally going to do it, though, I think, to get the awesome version of the CD.
They had to get out of Roadrunner Records. I guess they weren't treating him very well.
All right. Well, let's get on to some questions.
All right. We got a whole folder full of Final Fantasy 12 questions. Why don't you just spit them out for us?
All right,
the monitor is pointed towards you.
Yeah, that's right. So first one up. Oh my God! Oh, that's cold.
Caleb just spilled his drink.
Yeah,
Bears everywhere.
Not quite everywhere. Caleb, can you grab me a towel while I'm reading this fucking thing?
You want me to just grab that one?
Yes, I don't care which one. All right, so Kefka Palooza, or Palooza, whatever the hell it is, on the forum says, did you find yourself compelled by the characters and story? Felt like this was weaker than most of the other games and made it hard to finish it for me. He got distracted with side quests to the point that he completely forgot what next part in the story was, and worst, he didn't care when he remembered. Yeah, go ahead, and we'll just answer this in 2 parts.
I didn't really care as I was going along, except near the end, as far as, what was going on in the story and character motivation. I mean, for me, half the story, as I said before, was going from place to place to place to get whatever mystical object that didn't work. So that to me was most of the story, and I didn't really care that much. Now, I might have cared had like Bosch been more at the center of the story, or even Ash, but they were side characters, and then our main characters were also side characters. So what the fuck are we gonna do?
Right.
So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of hammered this out in the beginning part of the review. I don't think the story was very compelling. The characters were all interesting, but I feel like we didn't get enough time with them. I think it would have been a much better game if they would have spent a little bit more time with the characters. In fact, maybe even top tier for how much I love the battle system and the rest of it.
The Bosch story is awesome, and if they had just utilized that,
right,
instead of worrying about what their market was going to be, the marketability of the game, if they had just used that story, man.
Yeah, I think it would have been great. What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, I think so too. If they had focused a little bit more on the characters, even if it was just like Vaughn interacting with them, kind of like in 10, how we talked about before, then it would have made for a better game, story-wise.
All right, and another question: did we enjoy the summons? I thought the summons were really cool. I didn't use them very much, though.
Yeah, I liked them. They basically rank about the same as the other summons. Not as iconic, obviously, because in this one they used airships with the names of the old summons. But I enjoyed them. I just didn't use them, like as per tradition. What about you, Caleb?
I kind of like how they used the different guys for Final Fantasy 12. I mean, it's always interesting to see new creations and stuff like that. And I also enjoy how, since they were sticking with it being in the same universe as Final Fantasy Tactics, that they made them the same characters or creatures as from before.
Yeah, that's cool. He likes the challenges that the different ones had. I enjoyed it too. I mean, some of it was really easy.
Like getting the summons?
Yeah, because they would disable a certain ability each time. And the one, the Chaos, I think, disabled attacks. which was sick. But the funny part about that, and I didn't mention this in the review, but
This is the review.
Well, I didn't mention this in the gameplay part. I should have.
Fucking.
Hey man, at least I'm not making Down syndrome jokes, you ass.
It wasn't a joke about Down syndrome. The situation
Whatever.
involving the child with Down syndrome.
Anyway,
Just saying.
what would happen is he would cast Confuse on a person, and since they didn't have attack, they would just run off like madmen. Like he would just run, like Balthier just ran off into the mist, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And so I'm like trying to chase him down, and he's avoiding me like the plague, and I'm trying to throw the smelling salts on him because he's got the Zodiac spear, and he's like, "No!" He's zany. It was pretty funny to me, and also a pain in the ass to just see him just like because he couldn't attack, so he didn't know what to do with himself. But I thought those were kind of fun. We got another one here from The Doors 93. It says, how do you like the Final Fantasy world that the game is set in compared to the previous games in the series? Obviously, we really like the design of the world.
I do like the design of the world, and unlike the other Final Fantasy games, this was based on a previous game's world, or at least universe. Mm-hmm. Caleb, you want to go delve into that just a little bit?
Yeah, it was based on the world of Final Fantasy Tactics, which took place in Ivalice. And one of my favorite things to mention when talking about the world of Ivalice is that at some point there's this great, cleansing of race.
A great cleansing of race?
Yeah, like
you're really into it.
It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just amazing that it's even there, because like in Final Fantasy Tactics, there's only humans, and Tactics is supposed to take place like thousands of years into the future from 12, and so time between 12 and Tactics.
There were a whole bunch of races were knocked
all the
out.
races just die.
Yeah.
Like the Mughals died, the bunny women die. It's a sad loss for the world. The Sikh died.
Well, they didn't. They
the
couldn't
Banga die.
reproduce.
True.
That'd be a problem.
Oh, asexually. Oh my god.
Dude, I don't know.
Mixed with frog
Two
DNA.
friends.
Dude, I don't know. I think they just like pull in like dudes. They just kidnap a dude, make that guy their sex slave, because they live forever or like a really long time. So they might as
Right.
well just take one guy, just make a bunch of babies, and then just kill him off. And
Well, you
just
better
wait.
have some good genes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously they're gonna
There's
look for,
definitely
like,
going to
the
be
best
some
one.
eugenics involved, I'm sure.
But I'm pretty sure that's just how that's gonna go down.
All right. I enjoyed the world.
But yeah,
And it's really cool that it was based on something else. I don't think every Final Fantasy game should do that. That's
No.
for sure.
All right, so Krinatal asks, favorite thing to do in 12 or most liked thing?
Fighting bosses.
Yeah, you like the setup, the music.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I'd say boss fights are really fun.
boss fights are always the best thing.
All right, that's
Well, not always the best thing. I completely disagree
Oh.
with that.
Yeah, there are some boss fights.
But
that are
in Final
disappointing
Fantasy
other
12
games, but
especially-
in 12 it's pretty
they
good.
excel, yeah. All right, so Ox Bellows says Balthier, coolest character in the series or just coolest character in 12?
Nah, I think Shadow or Oron really have it above
Oron is-
Balthier. But Balthier, I do believe, is the, I don't know,
He's pretty suave.
coolest, suave, coolest character in 12. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Not in the whole series, though.
No, definitely in the game.
Yeah.
He's up there in the series, though. I'd say he's probably number 3 or so.
Okay.
Definitely after Oron, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Caleb.
Yeah, same.
All right, so now time for some Shinru. What did you think of the music? Okay, we already went over that. Lukewarm. What is your favorite track? I like the intro, honestly. I think it's amazing.
The regular Final Fantasy theme?
I think it sounds amazing in 12.
I wouldn't count that as a Final Fantasy 12
All right, fine.
piece of music.
Well, they
Maybe the
remixed it
Silica
for it.
Wood I thought was kind of cool. Like there was a remix of it that I put on a previous episode.
That was a really good.
I thought it was
actually, yeah.
cool. So maybe the Silica Wood.
All right,
I like that one a lot too.
Just because I found a really cool remix for it.
I thought Mount Bromosace was kind of cool too. It had like a kind of mysterious element to it. Does it have some of the coolest summon animations? It's up there. I don't know if I'd put it above 10.
I wouldn't either. I
But-
thought they were good summon animations. And they always are in the Final Fantasy series.
I like 7's more even. Because they're just epic.
That's a very oddly worded question, Shinru. You're suggesting that it does have some of the coolest summon animations, and I don't think it does have some of the coolest. I think it has good summon animations.
They look good, but they just kind of come in.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. 10s is above it, and I think not 13s, but 15s. One summon animation really blows it out of the water, and 7s are really cool, and 8s are really cool. I don't think 12s is really up there as far as summon animations go. They're good though. They're always good.
Yeah.
Always a high standard in the Final Fantasy series as far as summon animations go.
Right.
Caleb hates 13s summon animations in the vehicles, but I thought they were very interesting when I first played 13.
It's an atrocity, but I just feel like my whole life is ruined when I see that Shiva scissor thing. I'm like, why? Like, God.
Scissor Shiva.
Scissors.
Scissors.
Yes. All right, so did you both get the infamous Zodiac Spear? No. Caleb and I did.
Yeah.
But no, not for Joe. Joe, tell us about what you thought of Ash all those years ago when you first saw her picture and played the game.
Look, I think she has a nice ash. All right.
Yeah, there was like
Ash
YouTube
Olive
videos apparently staring silently at Ash's butt. Most were removed in the past few years since the game released. For some reason, he thinks for copyright. Pre-2010, YouTube was weird with that, but he says he swears it's a thing. Favorite boss and hardest
Really?
boss. Apparently,
That is interesting.
It's never gonna. We're never gonna know.
I think Ash is if there was a girl in Ash cosplay, I don't know. She could be a 5 and suddenly she'll become an 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, fair
I
enough.
say 2 thumbs up, way up for Ash. Yeah,
Two thumbs, pretty
and
far
you know
off
what?
for
And you know
thumbs.
what? And you know what? I'd say the miniskirt is about 90% of that. So, there's something about that miniskirt and how it looks on her.
And how it's even more mini because it's got the thigh cut, little slit in the side.
Well, yeah.
Favorite
awesome.
boss and hardest boss.
I did have an ex-girlfriend who I said, that would be one of my. I would very much enjoy that.
Yeah. It's like wear the Fran thing. That's what I say. I want the heels and the ears, baby. And it didn't work out. So
she thought I was super weird.
I don't know what boss. Is there a boss that really gave you a hard time? Obviously.
Fuck yeah, Yaizamat.
Well, Yaizamat.
The very final boss actually killed one of my characters.
Yeah, he killed
considering
me too.
I was in the mid
Didn't even
90s.
touch me.
I was soloing it with Bosch.
But I wasn't even really trying. I was kind of doing everything, kind of automatic. And I was like, oh, he killed me. So
Yeah.
I had troubles on pretty much every. No, that fucking Elder Worm thing. What was that thing called?
Earth Tyrant is the one you had a hard time with.
Yeah.
The green guy.
Earth Tyrant.
Oh, I thought that was Elderworm.
Nope.
Isn't Elderworm the dragon that's covered in moss and stuff?
Yeah, actually, I think it is.
That one, yeah, it is Elder Worm.
Yes.
Caleb, you're screwing me up.
Whatever. That guy, I obviously didn't have any problems with. I think. I don't know, man. There wasn't really. I don't even know if I lost at a boss fight except for Tiamat. Tiamat. But he wasn't really hard. He just got me with his abilities. Like, it just took my party out to where they couldn't do anything, and then they died. So I think Yasmat is the only difficult one that I had.
Favorite dungeon? No, I hated all the dungeons I went to. Now, we can say hardest dungeon because I believe Shinru likes dungeons that are fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Super difficult.
I'd say Great Crystal is the most difficult
Yeah.
and painful dungeon you can go through. I don't... And you know what? And visually, it is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'd say as far as what dungeon I thought was the coolest looking, or what was the coolest, was probably Great Crystal, but actually playing the Great Crystal was a pain.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably... I don't know. I think the Hen Mines down deep is probably the hardest technically. It's because of the enemies you're fighting.
Oh, the Lusu mines when you're going to get the extra stuff was kind of cool to go through.
Yeah, it looked really good, huh? When you went and got Gilgamesh and all that.
And it was like, oh, there's more. Like,
Yeah.
it was interesting.
Added stuff, yeah.
All right, fair enough. My favorite, as far as the dungeons go, probably the last one. I thought it was cool. It wasn't very long.
No, it was like 2 seconds.
I'd
but
say
it
that
looked
too.
awesome. What are your favorite boss theme?
There's only 2. There's the final boss theme with Vane. As far as I know or noticed, there's only 2, and then there's the regular boss theme.
The final one is awesome.
The final one is pretty cool.
The final hour or 2 of the game is incredible.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the final boss and final dungeon and music theme for those? Fantastic.
Final dungeon I thought was really oddly short for a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
Kind of like FF10's, where it just kind of went up there.
It's just there.
It's really quick.
7's is pretty short too.
7's
Not quite as
is
short.
not quite as short, and 7's is very challenging. I
Yeah,
think.
if you get
at
there
least if
in
you're
time.
not doing a shit ton of other stuff. How do you compare them to other Final Fantasy dungeons and final bosses? And music themes. I'd say lesser.
Yeah.
Maybe not dungeon design, but final dungeon and final bosses and music themes. It's kind of lacking in that respect. I mean, as far as music is concerned.
Right, and we liked the 2 tracks that Nobuo Uematsu worked on, but the rest of it was, as we said, pretty forgettable, which is unfortunate, but, it happens. All right, let's see. We got one from Bandrum. It says, the world in this game is unique in that it shows up, or people show up, on Ivalice in a variety of games. Yasumi Matsuno, one of the game designers of 12 and Vagrant Story, claimed that they intentionally included this as a fan service. Do you like the idea of a Final Fantasy world stretching beyond the borders of a Final Fantasy game?
I think we just answered this.
We totally did.
I think it's cool. I just don't think they should do it for every game.
No, I think they should try to limit it. Does a closed world with that story make it more of a fantasy?
Well, it makes it fit with the series more, which is always a new experience every time you play a game.
Yeah, sort of, until they try to fuck it up later and they're like, oh, it's connected by this.
Well, it's hardly connected.
I know. It's like because they said it
10
later.
and 7 are barely connected.
It's because they said it later and then they added stuff in the later game to make it seem like it is, but then in the original game it's not there. But whatever.
Okay.
Let's see, this one's from Remake the World. A very new member here. Did you guys keep your characters with similar equipment throughout your playthrough, or did you just equip your best equipment to your best characters? When he plays 12, he usually keeps Balthier with guns, Fran with bows, Ash with spears and staves, Bosch, greatswords, hammers, Pinello, blah, blah, blah. He likes jobs. I tried to keep it that way, like I said, as long as possible. And then I just split off to the most powerful
I got
stuff.
whatever was the best that I could buy.
Right.
Yeah, I
Or
ain't having
get.
none of that shit. Just going for the best stuff.
Yeah, let's see. This one is from Wabaman, a guest.
Yes, wow.
It says, love your podcast. FF is definitely his favorite gaming franchise. Played all of them, except 2 and 5, and 4 and 12 are his favorite. Played the hell out of 12. Over 100 hours of playtime. Cleared all the hunts, elite hunts, Yasmat. Most satisfying boss by far of the non-online games. His question is about the Zodiac Spear. I don't know if he's hunting snipes or what. He, of course, opened one of the chests. He wasn't supposed to, but at the time, he read several places on the internet saying there was a second chance to get the spear. A chest that might spawn at the end game of the area. Only had like a 2% chance, incorrect, 0.1% chance of having the spear. By zoning in and out of the area, checking repeatedly for hours, I got most of my characters to level 99. Have you ever heard of this rumor or tale? Yes, it's true, but there is a way to manipulate the random number generator in the game to get the Zodiac Spear every time. So look that up.
Yeah, and
Please, God.
apparently you can get it multiple times and even possibly equip all 6 of your characters with one.
Oh, easily. I saw a guy with 99 in his inventory.
Oh my god.
Yes. And he's like, oh, you just got to keep doing it.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, so fantastic. This one is a question from Stolus with an awesome owl thing going on. So a question that pertains to the bios of the Espers. So it's confirmed that Chaos, Medius, Fanfret, Zeromus, and Exodus are supposed to be a direct reference to the first 5 main antagonists of 1 through 5. Garland is Chaos, Emperor, Cloud of Darkness, Zemus, Zeromus, and X-Death. Yeah, do you think the others were based on antagonists of 6 and 11?
This is a question for the guy who got all the summons.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't connect him at all to any of the earlier ones. I guess Cloud of Darkness is kind of... Yeah, I guess there is a connection. I just never even put it together. I just was like, well, they're separate games, so I don't care.
Kind of seems like Final Fantasy. Let's continue.
Yeah. There are hints with the bios that faintly summarize the intent of each antagonist from 6 and 11 and hints the locations that they are found. Like, for instance, Hashmal, the lion-looking guy that you beat in the Pharaohs, mentions in his bio about a 1,000-year war between the Espers and the gods, which is mentioned nowhere else. And Zalira, the guy with the naked woman on his arm, has one wing, awesome, found in Terminus 7 in the Barhane Passage. And his bio mentions him trying to absorb souls to gain power. Your thoughts?
That's very interesting stuff. I know that 12 at least referenced other games through Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
I didn't know about those other things, so that's all new to me. So those are my thoughts.
Kuchulan, he says, Kefka, Zalira, Sephiroth, Ultima, Ultimacia, Shimhazi, Kuja, Hajmal, Jekt, Adramalesh, Ragaram, and Shadow Lord.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool theories. I'm going to have to look more into that, actually.
Right,
Well, Chuchulan and some of the other characters were direct summons or the demons that you fight in Tactics, so I wouldn't probably place them as being a reference to other bosses from other games.
All right, fair enough.
There's a question from Light Sage. How do you feel about bosses that let you leave the fight, heal up at a save point, and then go back to pick up fighting him? I was able to beat Yaizamat at early levels by constantly leaving and spamming quickenings and summons. Do you think that sort of thing cheapens super bosses? And I say no, not when it comes to Yaizamat. And there's no way you would go back and forth on Yaizamat constantly without pulling your hair out. So either way, the boss is infuriatingly hard.
Yeah, he's pretty difficult.
And I'm glad that save point was there. Otherwise, I would have committed suicide at when I died when he had 3 million left. That's what.
I'm glad I got out and saved.
I would have committed suicide instead of
the achievement
being like,
is
well,
taking out the
I'm only
super boss.
losing. I only lost 1 hour of my time instead of 5. So
right.
yeah.
I'm cool with it. I mean, it does kind of cheapen it, but they would just have to nerf the guy a little bit.
I don't know about that. I mean, the achievement is taking it out, not the way you do it.
Okay, so we got a question here from Judge Gabranth.
Nice.
Who asked a couple questions that we already answered, but here's one here. What's your guys' favorite character?
Ooh. I'm going to have to say Bosch and Balthier. He says Gabranth and Balthier. He likes Vaughn. He says he's his favorite to use. Vaughn is pretty good. He ends up having a lot of damage at the end. It's actually matching Bosch's with more speed. But yeah, I'd say Bosch and Balthier by far.
And what's the worst place to grind in, you think, as far as
XP?
Just how awful it is to be there? I'd say Great Crystal.
I'd say Great Crystal too. At least with the Hen Mines, I can kind of get out.
A lot of status effects.
Oh my god, though, on the way back from Zodiac, I was level grinding, right? And one of the bats confused one of my guys. And I lost a few characters to Zodiac, but I was like, well, I'll just be able to fight my way back. It's not a big deal. And one of my guys got downed, and then the other one got confused, killed the other person, and then the third person died, and all I had left was Pinello. And I was like, oh my god, this is going to happen to me. Like, I just did 2 hours of stuff, and then I made it out. So that area is rough, but Great Crystal is a skull fuck of confusion, so easily the worst.
All right, well, next
and the
page
ranking.
of questions.
Yeah, we can't talk about that yet. We'll let you know, though, Judge Gabranth. Don't you worry.
Okay.
More Gabranth.
Looks like this became a commenting section now.
All right, so this
All
is...
right, what is the major difference between... this is from Sniper912, which we haven't seen on forum for a while.
It's true.
And we'll get to his question in a second. What's the major difference between the two versions? I know there's a Zodiac system that changed, apparently made it harder, but I was wondering if they did extra bosses and drops, etc. in the two versions of 10?
Like the two versions of 10.
Oh. Like in the two
Do you know which version is considered the standard version from Square?
I'm pretty sure 12, since it was at least everywhere.
I don't know. A lot of people really like the Zodiac system. I know.
I want to try it.
I know some of
Yeah,
the rare
me too.
game. It's fought in like a stage battle setup, so like you go through different stages. Because I've noticed when I was doing all my rare game hunting that it's like this area or stage blah 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 along with blah 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 in the Zodiac job system. So I'm like, what is that? Is it like an arena? Because that sounds awesome to me. Where you just like go and like you get a different stage and fight a rare game and kill it that way, which is way better than what I had to do. So I don't know yet. As of right now, I'd probably say 12 regular. If they release an HD, I think it's going to have to be the Zodiac job system.
I think they'll probably have one where you can play either version.
Right,
like
just
in
like
Final
10.
Fantasy X. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the major differences between the two are that there's job systems, obviously, in the international
Right.
Zodiac job system, but then there's also like 12 license boards, one for each job, that you're allowed to go through on that one. And I'm not sure what the other differences are, but I know that one's like one of the biggest and most major difference.
Right, you would probably enjoy the license board a lot more in that version because it tailored to what choice you went with as far as the role. It would be more useful, I'm certain. But
That's interesting. I don't know too much about it myself. We got a question here from CLC Squeegee04. I'm not going to read it all, but he's talking about how there's a trope in RPGs called Guide Dang It, where you wouldn't know about something in the game had you not have a guide, such as, only getting the Zodiac Spear if you didn't open certain chests throughout the game. And how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a fair thing to do, or what?
I don't know. It's kind of cheap, kind of a cheap blow, but there's so much stuff in these games that most people are going to look things up once they've exhausted their ability to just figure it out. And I mean, if you wrote down everything that looked important, that's in golden writing or whatever, you could probably do everything in this game, but no one's going to do that because you're going to have to talk to every NPC just to ensure it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that is kind of like that with the like with the bazaar, for instance, like how you have to sell specific items to get specific items. I mean, that's something you could kind of track. But then again, like the Zodiac Spear, only selecting certain chests, I don't think it's that cheap, but because like you can get a great sword that gives you 140 attack, where the Zodiac Spear gives you 150. So it's like, I mean, it kind of evens it out, and there's like the second best weapon you can.
So you're not missing out on too much.
Yeah, you're not missing out on too much, and it's still gettable. And then there's even like another great sword that you can get just by beating like Yzamat and a few of the extra bosses. And then that one's like 130, and then gives you like a holy element on top of that, so giving you bonus damage. So
Okay.
I mean, like, there's you're not really missing a whole bunch, but it's kind of a cool thing that you have to do something specific to get like this great weapon, and the fact that you can get it really early is also a pretty sweet thing.
Okay. A little different feelings on that.
I don't like it.
I think it's cheap, yeah, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I think it is a cheap shot at the end.
I think it's really stupid, but whatever. Okay, we got another question here from YRP, who's another guest. Question that pertains to the story of FF12. I feel this is as the first story from Final Fantasy to focus more on political turmoil over the usual high fantasy bad guys. For the most part, Vayne Solidor is not the Kefka, Sephiroth, or Kuja crazy madman intent on destroying the world. Sorta. He is a tactical genius that manipulates people and circumstances around him to benefit himself and Arcadia. For example, his well-planned coup to take full control of Rabanastre, or the framing of the Senate for the death of his father, altogether very different antagonists for Final Fantasy. And on the hand of the protagonist, we see Ash, who struggles with the thirst for power, just as strong as Vayne, chasing all over the world for stones of power she has no clue how to use for the sake of vengeance. I feel these characters would have been better served in a Game of Thrones book than in a Final Fantasy series. So my question to you all is, do you personally think political dramas have a piece in Final Fantasy, or should Square have stuck to traditional fantasy storylines that were more successful in the past? Vayne Salvador was being mind controlled by Vana, or not mind controlled necessarily, but he was being directed by
Not
a
the whole time, though.
godlike being, at least near the end.
Yeah, at the very end he was. After Sid dies, so he did a lot of that stuff.
So I don't think it's
solo.
I don't think it's unlike Zero Miss in Final Fantasy IV.
No, not completely.
So I do think it fits. I think there was some political drama with Kefka also in Final Fantasy VI. I mean, it's not as
it's very basic.
It's not as in your face as Final Fantasy XII with the politics of the whole situation. Personally, I thought that part of the plot, I forgot to talk about this in the story section. I personally thought that part of the plot was more interesting to me. All the bad guy stuff, all the political stuff was more interesting to me than what the main characters were going through, searching for whatever piece of whatever.
Right. I kind of agree with that. I think it works just fine. I don't think it needs to be any different as far as the story goes. I mean, they could have done more with the characters, more interesting backstory, but I think the political aspect of this game was awesome. I didn't have a single problem with it.
Okay with Craig?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I think the reason that you may have felt that it was lackluster or should have belonged in a book is because of the way that it was portrayed, by not having too much backstory or playing into the political part of the story as much. But other than that, I think it really does fit in, and it's does really well.
All right, so we're pretty much in agreement. I think it'd be great if they expounded more on it, but did a better job.
Yeah,
I'd say.
All right, so I think it's time to talk about the legacy of the game.
Alrighty.
Woo! Need a small break, guys.
All right, give us just a sec.
Oh Jesus! Is this going to be an over 2 hour second half? We've had this problem before.
Maybe a little bit. I think we're fine.
Okay, you don't want to do a third part?
No, it'd be a tiny third part.
You think so?
Yeah.
How much do we have left?
We got two sections. Hey guys, we're going to talk about the legacy of the game. We're going to go through reviews that were posted on our forum, which are short and there's not that many of them. And then we're going to do our rankings, and that'll be the end.
Yeah, that's not too long.
So it's not too bad. I do have to stand up for like 2 seconds though. So answer some questions.
Just 2 seconds.
All right, so music in 12 is the real letdown. Yeah. Like 2 or 3 areas I really liked. Just really unlike a Final Fantasy. Love all of the ending songs, even 8s. That's okay. That's okay. Atreus. What can I do for you is the greatest. Oh yeah, Time Verse. We're still going at it. And the spilled drink. Yeah, that was fucking horrible, Cameron. Oh, nice, Jay Reesing. That was your question. Nice. Yeah, Oron is totally the best. Shiva Sisters. When I first saw them, I turned off the game forever. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. 12's HD should totally have either version as an option. Loves most of tactics except toward the end. Hope a little aspect is a little more interesting than kill the god bit. Yeah, it totally is. Who enjoyed the game most out of the 3 of you? We will get to that very shortly.
I don't know, it's probably you. Although I did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I can tell you enjoyed it the least out of the 3 of us. That I can say.
You ready?
God, this is taking longer than I thought it